Welcome back to Straight Facts on Tuesday. Hit the like buttons. Make sure you're subscribing. I'm joined by the brilliant Judge Mo. Husam has finally turned up on the Football Terrace after Liverpool got humbled on, well, he was there last night, but he's here with us again. Gentlemen, how are you both? You well? You good?
Yes, we're good, people. Obviously, we didn't do Straight Facts with like me and Mo last week because it was New Year. You get me? So now I did it with LB. Who did I do it with last week? Was it with LB?
No, that was Christmas Eve you did it with LB. And then we did a whole big...
Wasn't that last week?
That was 2 weeks ago. Last week, we did the whole big group together.
Oh, yeah, the 31st December stream. Yeah. That was with everyone. Yeah, my bad. So obviously, we weren't here. It's been a while since me and Mo have rattled each other because I'm going to say it honestly. We probably do rattle each other. It's not one-sided. Make sure you guys are liking. Make sure you guys are subscribing. And we're here, mate. Big up to all of you.
He's messed up the dates, because he doesn't celebrate the Christmas like his legend, Muhammad Salah. That's why he doesn't know the dates.
Fraud.
If he celebrated Christmas, he would have known. They did it with LB Christmas Eve and the New Year and stuff like this, bro. You need to take Muhammad Salah. You need to celebrate like him, bro. It's just
big up Salah. Big up. Other celebrations are available. Hi Mo, how you doing?
I will say this. I have been to the Middle East, and when I was there, all the supermarkets were selling Christmas trees and decorations. It's
very here, bro.
Very welcoming and open place. It's just each to their own. I say I don't judge because my grandmother, who was a very religious lady, always said to me, people that say they're religious that are very judgmental. She used to tell me that you're committing a bigger sin than often what you're criticizing. So my nan taught me that when I was about 7, and I've always stuck by that when it comes to religious comments, especially as I'm not a scholar on any religion. So I'm not judging no one on shit, bruv. Like never have, never will. Loads to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Loads, absolutely loads. We've got a competition running to win a PS5 for you as well. You'll see that on the live chat. So click on that if you want to get involved. Obviously, the Arsenal game yesterday with Newcastle, we're going to talk about transfers.
How can I get involved in this PS5 thing? What do I need to do?
You have to super chat.
How much?
£5 minimum.
And then I get into the draw for the PS5.
Yes.
So you're saying I could factually win a PS5?
You may. I mean, the viewers might think it's a bit dodgy if you win it, but
there you are. No, you're not going to do me dirty because I want to be dirty.
I'm just saying.
If I win it,
if you win it, you win it. It's going to be a random draw.
You know what? When's the last day I can enter this draw?
During the show. It's if we hit a target during the show, we give back to our super chatters. We give them something back. Sometimes it's free memberships. Sometimes it's draw for this. We're giving away quite a lot recently. So yeah.
Fairs. I'm down.
Why do you even have time to play PlayStation, bro? You don't even have time to look around. You're late to every single show. You're always busy. You just leave it to the viewers, bro. Leave it to the viewers, bro.
How does that work?
You're not a smart investor. Who told you I have to play PS5? I have one. If I get it, I'll sell it.
Can I ask you a question?
Leave it to the viewers. What is this guy?
Can I ask you though about that? Because it's not like a raffle. It's like if you super chat because you want to make a super chat, you'll go into a draw to win a prize. Is that considered haram?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because when you go into like a store, let's say, like I know you've been to Qatar, you've seen the Lulu hyper stores. When you get your groceries at the end of it, they give you like 2 vouchers. You just put them in the thing and you could win something.
Yes.
Because some people would
I'm going to just give you a rule, Terry. If you super chat, you already got something for your money, right? You already got the comment to be put up.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that means you're not losing your money. The gambling thing, if you put money and you're getting nothing back, and it's a gamble to win, that's called gambling.
Exactly. There's no gambling involved because you like Terry would have responded to my super chat, so I got my super chat's worth.
That makes absolute sense. So I understand. There we go. I just wanted to make sure, but yeah, that's. I am gonna take the lesson from my 2 Muslim brothers on the show over what I think and what the viewers think. I'm going to take their opinion as read on that one. So thank you, boys. Obviously, loads to talk about today. I wanted to start with a bit of Man United because it's been rattling around my brain since last night because the group chat was just popping off yesterday. Oh, Mainoo's leaving.
Yeah, Kobe Mainoo should leave Man United. I told you this 2 years ago.
What's that?
I told you this 2 years ago. I told you this 2 years ago. Kobe Mainoo should leave Man United. I told you this. Do you think I'm joking, bro? I like the players. Me and Husam and Staffy, we had this argument yesterday. Staffy thinks he's worth that much. I think he's worth that much. I think the player is a brilliant player. I think he's generational talent. And for the good of the player, I genuinely think he should leave Man United now. maybe you have a buyback clause or something like this. But I'm really worried for the kid's talent. The pressure on Man United. He's 19 years old, and there's so much pressure on him. I really hope for the sake of the kid that he goes. Man United are not a good environment in the current moment.
Are you saying this from banter or being serious? Wallah, tell me.
Allah
honestly.
al-Azim, being serious.
Like for real serious? You're not bantering.
Of course, I understand why Man United fans won't want that. Of course, he's their bright shining star, blah blah blah, right? But if you're asking me about Kobbie Mainoo, if I'm advising Kobbie Mainoo, I'm like, leave. Maybe if you love the club, come back. Put a buyback clause, but leave. Go develop somewhere else. Go develop in Bayern. Go develop in Real Madrid. Go develop somewhere else. Because Man United at the current moment, listen, I'm not sure if Amrim is going to be able to turn it around to the point that Kobbie Mainoo will be able to thrive and actually give you his full potential. I believe this kid has a potential to be a world-class midfielder. When people talk about, me and Husam had this argument about Camavinga yesterday. I believe the kid is so talented. Might not be at Camavinga's level yet, but there are 3 years difference between them. Imagine if these 3 years he's developing in Real Madrid or somewhere else other than Man United. He's now developing in a club that the environment is not well. It's not fit. You are 14th in the league. There's a lot of pressure from the fans. And that is why I mean that the kid, for his own sake, should go to a more stable club. Unless you're going to tell me that Man United now are a stable club and the youngsters can flourish at Man United. If you tell me that, it's up to you. I don't see Man United at that level yet. Maybe in a year, maybe 2. Now Man United are not a stable club. Kobbie Mainoo, 19 years old, should go somewhere.
So look,
can I just say?
Yeah, you go, and I'll go after both of you.
Yeah, I'll say this about Kobbie Mainoo. I wanted to ask Mo if he was bantering or not at the start, but he explained his logic, and he's saying he's not bantering. And look, I would tend to agree with Mo, but there is one small caveat. Man United are not a failing club and are not a succeeding club right now. Man United are in that unknown zone where this could all, like, essentially, Mainoo could be the Coutinho to Klopp. You get what I'm saying? Like, Mainoo could be the guy that leaves just before they start winning. It's a possibility. It's not impossible for Man United to start winning, to start getting their shit together. All I'm simply saying is Man United are in the unknown. And Kobbie Mainoo must ask himself, is he willing to take the risk with the unknown, with the new ownership, with Ineos, with the direction that they're headed in, and hopefully stuff change? Because that's what he has to ask himself. Now, in terms of like style and system, obviously, like, it's not like Amarim plays without midfielders. He plays with midfielders. I know he had a bit of a knock, but he had a good game against Liverpool. Nothing special, in my opinion. I think Bruno was the best player for the United had, but overall, he had a good game. So let's say he had an okay game. Does he see himself guaranteed starter? Is he guaranteed, like, I'm going to start every single game for Man United and I'm going to be the Premier League guy when we go away to the Etihad?
I'm sorry, can you elaborate? Malish, I didn't understand.
Okay, I'll elaborate. Amarim plays with 2 midfielders, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the times. So if he plays with 2 midfielders, let's say Amarim's ideal 2 midfielders is Bruno and Ugarte. So one guy is the destroyer, one guy is the tackling guy, and the other guy is the 10, the more creative midfielder, if you would like. Now, in that setup, if you put Mainoo over Ugarte, you lose Ugarte's tackling, interceptions, and the defensive side. And if you put Mainoo over Bruno, who, if he continues to play like he did against Liverpool, because usually he's grenade launching, then you would lose out on the creativity, you would lose out on the more attacking threat, if you would like. So Mainoo's kind of in the middle player. Mainoo's like an Enzo, like a Wijnaldum, like someone like that, who's just an 8. McAllister, complete, you know? That's Mainoo. So it depends what the manager wants to do as well. We can't make this conversation black and white because it's not black and white. Even if he starts, Husam, I don't think you get my point. Even if he starts every game, Man United, the ship now is still not in the right place. And I'm just going to let Terry talk. But the ship now is not in the right place. It's not a good place for a 19 years old, to be honest, with that much talent. Let Terry talk now.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few things in this. You saying that he should leave is one thing, okay? Him and his team are already publicly, they haven't done a direct address themselves, but they have come out and they have briefed the media and said that the player has got no concerns about his future and the player doesn't want to leave the club. So from my point of view, I'm not particularly worried about the idea of him leaving in the short term. In terms of the news yesterday that came out, it wasn't even Ornstein that broke the news. Saturday afternoon, there was an article that came out. I don't remember the journalist who spoke about the likes of Mainoo and Garnacho not being untouchable at the club. And it named 2 players that were in Ahmad and Lenny Euros. They're the only 2 that are untouchable. Now what we're hearing is no one's untouchable. And I quite like that. I've seen a lot of United fans, it's a disgrace that we would think about selling our youth. Not really. It depends upon the context. If you actually read the article from Ornstein, it's very clear. United are not actively looking to sell any of these players. All they've stated, and I kind of like that they've put this out there. I think it's quite subtle, but it's just been pounced upon. If you're not performing, if you're not hungry, if you're not delivering, if you're not progressing how we want, you're not untouchable. Man United have had too many players that have been untouchable for too long a period. So we've had players, I would say, Adnan Januzaj didn't last long, but he burst onto the scene, looked good in the first 6 months, and then for about 2 years, we were flogging that dead horse, and he wasn't performing. But because he was an academy player, he was given that extra time, when actually we should have moved on sooner. The Paul Pogba situation, I loved him, but he didn't want to be here for a long time. We all knew
him
this.
at the time, he probably could have got 40, 50 million at the time.
Exactly. And sometimes you've got to strike when the iron is hot. Often you might make a mistake in doing that. You look at Chelsea getting Cole Palmer. That would be frustrating to do something along those lines. But by and large, I'm not against the idea that if someone isn't good enough, someone isn't delivering, and or a colossal amount of money is offered, especially for a player that's pure profit, I'm not against it. And the reason I say that is this. I think Januzaj, I think Mainoo's amazing. But let's take another example that was in that article, and that's Garnacho. Let's say this summer, Atletico Madrid offers £70 million for him. They're talking about 60. Let's just say it's 70. And United go, do you know what? He's good. He could definitely progress. He could definitely become a better player. However, we bring that in terms of investment into the squad, we could go out and buy 2 players because of spreading the cost over 5 years who are better than Adnan Januzaj. So from Man United's point of view, we could become a better team. The only problem I have with this is if we sold these players, brought the money in, and then we stop investing into the squad. But there's no evidence to suggest that we're going to stop investing into the squad. I don't think that, if you get where I'm coming from. So I think there's been a little bit of an overreaction from people to this news. There really is. Now, I'm not going to do correlation, and I'm not going to say that the news came out on Saturday and look at the performance on Sunday. The players all stepped up because they know they're untouchable. I don't think it's as basic and clear cut as that. But I think there's an element of truth to this. I want the players to feel like they have to deliver because they're not untouchable. They can be sold. They can be moved on if the price is right and if the situation is correct. That's how Man United operated all my life. All my life. The price was right for Beckham. The situation became right. He moved on. The situation was right. The price was right. Ronaldo moved on. This happened. Although Scholes and Giggs stayed forever, a lot of that is because the players said they never wanted to leave. If got to a point where enough money was offered and Fergie felt there was a better option out there, he'd have sold those players too to better Man United. This idea that, so I want Mainoo to be a star. I rate the kid massively, but I don't love Man United more than Mainoo. And if the situation is right and the money is correct, I'm not going to cry about it. I never did when I was younger, and I'm not going to start doing it now that I'm an adult. We move on from that. So for me, I think it's I'm quite excited about the message. Now, I don't want to lose him. I'm being honest about that. I'd hate to see
but Man United fans aren't in a position where they demand someone is unsellable, though. And I'll say this from the outside. Look,
they are demanding that. Man United fans have gone on stream.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Let me tell you the part. Let me just tell you the thing that I'm trying to explain here. Big up, Mama Flossie. How are the lads? Big up. Let me just say this to all of you guys in the chat. Listen, because of what Terry's saying, I have this certain thing I want to say. I think every club has an unsellable. Every club has someone that is, regardless how much money you give me, I'm not getting rid of him. Van Dijk, Salah, as an example for me. Maybe a City fan would say Rodri. Maybe a City fan would say
what
KDB,
about
Haaland.
Trent, no.
Haaland, whoever. Yeah, of course. I'm mentioning 2 or 3 examples from each club. Relax, Arsenal.
Why you're already rattled? Okay.
Because I'm trying to explain a point and you're interrupting me midway to just point out that I didn't mention Trent when I said only.
Why didn't you mention Trent?
Well,
no, I don't want to say.
Anyway, back to the topic. So when it comes to Man United, no one at Man United is at that level. Like, no one at Man United is best in the world in his position, one of the best in the universe, top 3 in the world in his place, which is why everyone should be up for sale. That's why Terry is right. There's no such thing as, I'm not going to sell this guy under no price. Because here's the thing with Kobe Mainoo. And actually, me and Staffy had this argument yesterday. If you want to sell Mainoo for 100 million, you should have sold him 6 months ago. After the FA Cup final goal, when his reputation was sky high. It was right here. You could have sold him for even more money at the time.
But they don't want to sell him. This is the point they're making. There is no active approach from the club to sell the player. They're negotiating a new deal. I like, though, that they've said that no one's safe. I think that's fair. As an employer myself, none of my staff are safe for life. They have to deliver. They have to do their job. If they don't deliver, if they don't progress, if they start making crazy demands in the middle of that, all right, we'll move you on. Liverpool should have done it with Trent. They've offered Trent a new deal. He said no for the last few years. They've let it run down to the situation. They should have gone, well, okay, we'll sell you. We'll find a buyer. Even if you'd have got £50 million for him, that would be an improvement. And I'll give you an example of unsellable. I understand that a lot of Liverpool fans in the last 5 years would say Mo Salah, unsellable. And that makes complete and utter sense. However, Mo Salah's coming towards the end of his career. Say you would have been offered £150 million for him 2 years ago and you sold him, but then you went and spent 80 million of that at the time on Alexander Isak, and then maybe Bowen replaced him on the right. You might now find yourself in a position with 2 much younger players where you're like, well, I know Mo left. I'm playing a hypothetical here. Mo left, but we've now got one of the best strikers in the world and a really good right-sided attacker. There's a point in time where clubs have to make these decisions. I think you've left it go too late with Mo. You could never get that kind of money for Mo now because of his age, right? Even though I think he's going to deliver for 2 or 3 more years and I think he's worth a new deal. If you were going to let him go, you should have got maximum money 2 years ago. And this is what I mean. When it comes to Mainoo, let's say Mainoo gets to 25, 26 and we're starting to realize he's going to go and play for Real Madrid. Then he isn't untouchable anymore. Then it's a case of, well, let's capitalize when he's at maximum value, when he's halfway through his contract, so that we have the red, especially as he's a pure profit player, so that we can turn around and say...
But can I give you the one disagreement, Terry? I literally agree 99% with what you're saying. There's 1% I disagree on, just 1% on a real. If you know your club is shit at buying players, you're not willing to take that risk. The reason why me, as a Liverpool fan for the past 5 years, I'm saying I don't want us to sell Mo is because I know it is categorically impossible. Okay, who's Mo Salah's replacement right now in the whole world? Mbappe, Vinicius, we're not getting either.
Yeah. So I understand that point in terms of, I'm giving you a hypothetical scenario here. All right. So I understand.
Can you put me top row? Because this guy lost to AC Milan. That would be really nice.
Yes. He's got to be at the bottom. He's got to be fair. That was great, by the way. So I get where you're coming from with that. I'm just giving you a scenario, though. Had you have sold him 2 years ago and you had those two, I'm giving you the example of had you bought those 2 players, I don't think now in the future you'd be sitting there as Liverpool fans saying we lost Mo Salah and look what crap we bought. Of course, there's a flip side to it. If you sell a star and you replace him with crap, then you're going to be frustrated. But I'm talking about the principle of what we're discussing. I'm actually for a Man United where no player is untouchable, undroppable. We as United fans, and this is where I think we have to be. I saw Goldbridge last night and I disagreed with him on his point. And I only saw a clip of what he said, to be fair. But for me, I've seen Goldbridge and I've seen every Man United fan that makes content say for years, we don't want players that are undroppable. Why can't this guy get substituted? How has he got a new deal? Why is he the face of the club? So now we're briefing the media. No players untouchable. How dare we not have players that are untouchable? That's because we're being emotive. There's a lot of people saying that Mainoo should be untouchable. They don't care that Rasmus Højlund and Garnacho were included in that. I know Staffy fucking doesn't care they were included in that as an example. But Staffy understands where I'm coming from, I think. That I like this. If Mainoo delivers, and if Mainoo plays well, and he stays hungry and wants to be here, he'll be here for a very long time. If he doesn't, if any of those things or a combination of those things exist, we'll cash in on him. And that's exactly what we should do. Man United have held on to players. I love Paul Pogba. I'm so gutted it didn't work out to the level I thought it would. But as soon as him and his agent started flirting with other clubs in 2018, we should have cashed in on him, 70, 80 million, got our money back, and reinvested that into the team. We didn't. We carried on paying him really big money, and then he left for free. And then you've got this financial black hole that's very hard to replace, and a player that was impossible to replace. So people always say, what's happening different now at your club since the ownership changed? This is a case in point of a different strategy. Now, look, none of us know whether it will work out or not, but my gut feeling is positive because it's the same mantra every other fucking club the successful has. No one's untouchable. No one's undroppable. Barada, when he was at City, said it in a podcast he did. Players have about an 18-month period to prove their City quality, or they go, whether they're an academy player or whether they buy them. That means no player at City is untouchable. Why are Man United fans upset that we're adopting the policies that, one, we had in our heyday, and two, the other successful clubs use? That's the bit for me that I'm confused about. Would they sell Rodri? If the situation and the price was right, they could, yes.
So if Madrid call them tomorrow, offer 120 million for a defensive midfielder, do you think they sell him?
They may not think. Let's say he hasn't had. Now he's had the knee injury. That could potentially happen. Let's say the knee injury hasn't happened. They may say no because 100 odd. That's not much more than Caicedo went for. And look at the consistency of him. But if he's at a certain age and you're
basically adopting the logic of everyone has a price.
Everybody's for sale at the right price in football. And
so if Al Hilal want to buy Salah for 400 million, FSG will probably sell him. I hear what you're saying.
And that's an extravagant amount, but you have to weigh up what can we do with these funds. Let's just say when Rodri comes back, he's looking pretty good. But what's he going to be in his 30s? Let's say Real Madrid do come in and say there's 120 million. Maybe City look at it and say, do you know what? But at 120 million, we get that in. And what we can do with that, because we can spread the cost, is get Bruno Guimaraes, we can get Zubamendi, and we can get Baliba. Maybe for 180 million, you can get those three players to the buyout clauses, as an example. So you look at it and go, okay, well, we can get rid of someone who's been great for us and bring those three players in. If that's a trade-off, then it's worth it, potentially. I'm painting a scenario. No player should ever be untouchable forever at a football club. It's a ridiculous notion to have, in my view.
But do you rate Mainoo to the point that you think he should be, as a Man United fan, the future of this club? That's the question.
No, I do rate him. I don't want him to leave. This is the nuance in the conversation.
So you as well say that he shouldn't be sold. He's untouchable for you.
No, he's not untouchable. I don't want him Me not wanting him to go and me wanting him to be successful doesn't mean with the right situation and the right price, we shouldn't look at it. So I'm including situation and price together here. And if we sold him for £35 million this window, I'd be fuming because that's massively undervalued. If we got offered 90 million for him, and part of the reason for moving him on is because he's demanding, I don't believe the story's true that he wants £200,000 a week, and we should not be giving him at 19 £200,000 a week. We've made those mistakes before, overpaying players when they haven't. It's not even about your age or how good you are. What have you achieved for the club so far? If say he said I'm not signing a new deal unless it's 200 grand, and then someone comes in and says, well, there's 70 million, 80 million for him, I wouldn't look at it as the end of Man United if we said, well, we're not going to come to an agreement on a new deal. We think it's far too much money for a player your age. We've made that mistake 100 times before in the last decade. We're taking the 70 million. Thank you and good luck. As long as we're investing that £70 million in very, very good talent, I'm not going to cry about it, is what I'm saying. I want Mainoo to work out, but I'm a Man United fan, not a Mainoo fan. Now, if we sell him for 30 million for no real reason, and we don't invest the money into anybody good or at all, then I'll be angry. I can't make a blanket
That's
statement.
literally why I was angry last summer. We sold so many players and bought Chiesa for 10 million. So
no, and I understand that. But the concepts, I'm talking about the general concept.
I hear you.
That's it. And it's hard to give every scenario because there's 101 different things that could happen. But the general concept of a player being untouchable, I like. Hello, Staffy. You all right, mate?
Hello.
You just woke up. Good morning, mate.
I woke up a couple hours ago. I'm working. Well, what do you think this was?
Good morning, mate. Good morning.
No. Welcome to Straight Facts Bilarabi. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Welcome to Al Jazeera Sports, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking over.
Nah, I was just listening
Nigel
to you.
Farage was right. It's over for you guys.
Also, some breaking news surrounding Manchester United. It's understood that Amad Diallo has signed his new contract with Man United this week. The agreement's done. All documents have been checked and approved by both sides. Slightly higher salary, long-term deal, and Amad stays is key part of the project. So, and after that, they are moving on to discuss Mainoo as well. So they're going to focus. But Amad Diallo has just signed his new deal with Manchester United, according to Fabrizio Romano, and the announcement on that is going to be coming soon. So that's some very positive news for Man United today.
Great news, and he deserves it too. Funny enough, I don't know if people know that him and Mainoo are the two lowest earners in this club right now. They're arguably top two from, I don't know, our best players, however you want to rank them. So he deserves it. But I thought it was the writing was on the wall. Anyways, the guy, every time he scores a goal, all he does is tap the badge and kiss it. Then people I heard people waffling like AFTV saying, "Oh, get me Ahmad Becca for Saka in January, bro. You're not the club. Sit on the floor, bro. You're never gonna get our best players to sit on your bench." But no, good for him. And as the convo that you guys were talking about, listen, I was just listening because I wanted to get hear everyone's opinion first. I agree with you, Terry. And here's the thing: I feel like there's been a bit of an outrage since yesterday with United fans hearing about the news, and I don't get why. I feel like first of all, I think there's a weird fetish with United fans when it comes to academy players. I feel like they always think we have the best academy in the world. We have a good academy, but there's a weird fetish with academy players that we can't sell them. When you look at the best clubs in the world historically, they all sell their academy players. Half the players in La Liga are from Castilla, from Real Madrid's academy. But we don't even know that because they sell them early and they make money off them. You look at the league is infested with Chelsea in Man City academy products. Most of them we didn't even know played for the academy. But they sell a lot of them, and that's how they make money. And listen, to be fair, they also had some of their outrage too. I remember last summer and the summer before, a lot of Chelsea fans were upset that we're selling a lot of carbon products. But guess what? People sit here and say, "Oh, why can't we spend like Chelsea did? Why can't we go to Jenner and do this, this, and that?" If you want that financial flexibility, which we won't have because they had a unique situation with their ownership change and the fact that they had no debt when their no owner came in, so that's a different situation. But if you do want to spend all that money, if you want to be like these clubs, you need to start selling your academy products. And it's not a disrespect to sell your academy products. I actually think it's a flex. I remember 15 years ago or whenever, when I started watching the Premier League about 18, 19 years ago, I used to look at in the league. A lot of them were United Academy products. We had so many players all over the place. You had what's his name, Phil Neville, captaining Everton for how many years? You had Nicky Butt playing in Newcastle. You had a lot of players playing all over the league. This whole idea that we're gonna repeat what we did with the class in 1992, you gotta give it up. It's an anomaly. It's a once in a lifetime. You know why it's so good and it's such a special story? Because it doesn't happen often. If the class of 1992 was a regular occurrence and it happens every other year, it would have never been that special. We would have been talking about it 30 years later, because it's an anomaly to have 6 different academy products be on the same team and eventually win a treble together. It doesn't happen. And that's why that story that you can't win anything with kids doesn't get repeated all the time.
Conversations with the certain United fans, man, said, if you think anyone's gonna be the class in 92 again, you just have to give it up. You just
gotta give it up, bro. Wallahi, that's all you have to do. It's just like, bro, because I love that story. It's one of the reasons I became a United fan. When I chose to be a United fan one day and I saw that team, and that team really chose me, I didn't choose it. And I wanted to learn everything about that team. And I used to go on the website and read about them. Back in the day, things weren't accessible on the internet like that anyways. So when I started reading about that team, one of the things that stood out like a sword was the class of 1992. You know why it stood out? Because it's an anomaly. Same thing as the Barcelona Academy. There was that one game that they played during the Messi era. I forgot what year it was.
So it made you a big club anyway. That's that.
I wouldn't say it made us a big club, but that was one of the, like, every club has a story.
Can I just add to that very unique things? Yeah, can I just add to that very quickly, Staffy? The class of 92 is an anomaly and very special, and it did help project us to another level. But the reason that it did is because it did mimic what happened in the 50s with the Busby Babes at Manchester United. Of course, they were tragically killed in the Munich air disaster, and that was a young group of players that we had cultivated from Manchester and some other parts of the country, like Sir Bobby Charlton from the northeast, and the great Duncan Edwards, who came from the Midlands. and we built this young team that a lot of them came through our academy. And listen, I still stand by this statement. They would have gone on to win multiple Champions Leagues. Man United's European history would have looked very different if it hadn't been for the horrible air disaster. And I think the class of 92, it resonated so highly because it was almost felt like history repeating itself in that regard. But it is rare to get that many at the same time. And Sir Alex wasn't able to replicate it. And he brought a lot of young players through with Wes Brown and O'Shea, Danny Welbeck and loads of Darren Gibson, loads of players. And we never were able to recreate it again. And we've had some good academy players in the last 10 years. And I don't want to see them sold per se, but they still have to be good enough and they still have to be able to deliver for us. Fergie sold and got rid of and released hundreds, maybe even thousands of academy players in his time at the club because they weren't good enough or right for Man United. And every now and then there was a mistake. Every now and then, I should have kept him a bit longer. But 9 times out of 10, the club made the right decision. And I'm confident we'll do that again.
But that's the issue, Terry. When you hold on to academy players for too long, you end up with a lot of examples like Rashford, like McTominay, like Lingard. Rashford is probably the most successful out of them and the most talented. But you look at him. We ended up making him the highest paid player in the club. We gave him the number 10. We put him on a pedestal that he eventually couldn't live up to. And I feel like that was one of the reasons for his downfall. Lingard, same thing. He used to be 27 and people still thought he was a young upcoming player. And we'd be like, United fans had to correct rivals all the time to remind him of his age. Maybe he looked a little bit younger than he did. He was 27. People thought he was a young and upcoming academy product. And he wasn't. He was 25, 26, 27 when people were saying that. Same as McTominay. The reason people still talked about McTominay last year being one of our best players is because he overstayed his welcome. If he would have been sold after his first good season, second good season at United, you cashed in and you want to use that money and you brought someone who's good enough to be playing to the level that Man United should be and get someone, I don't know, from the Premier League or outside, we would have never had these issues. The issue is we keep these players for so long that we diminish their value, and you end up, Elanga as an example, me and KJ spoke about him for a while. I always joke about it and I say he's KJ's son because he loves him so much. I feel like I maybe a little bit over disrespected Elanga. Elanga got sold for 15 million after playing a Champions League campaign for us, and he was a Swedish international. He should have never went for 15 million. But the reason he went for that money is because we held on to him for so long. The club was so shit. Everyone smelled desperation for us to sell players. And we ended up selling him to Forest, where he's performing very well right now, but for such a low fee. He probably should have went for about 20 to 30 million. But that's the issue that we have. If we want to spend and we want to generate money and to bring it back to where we are right now, because we're in 2025, we're in January, we need money and we need to rebuild a team. You need to rely on selling a lot of academy products. It does help you. Nothing helps you more in sales than selling academy products, because it helps you with PSR and it helps you spending power. You could sell a player for 30 million, and because of PSR, you're allowed to spend about double of that, because of how much it counts on the balance sheets. So we need to get rid of a lot of these players. I don't want to sell Mainoo. I think Mainoo is very good, and I don't like this notion that he won't be able to play in a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3. I don't think it's the best formation for him. If you ask me on a tactical level, I don't think it is the best for him. But he's very young.
It's not.
He's very young though, and he's very talented. That at this age and with the skill set that he has, you could mold him into anything that you.
I might make it a bit too black and white, but I think Mainoo need to be molded either into a 6 or a 10. You either need to
like the only two midfield positions we have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but with the 6, I think you're gonna ask him to do a lot of athletic work and defensive work. So that one is a bit more difficult. But mold him into a 10, it's possible because there's one reason. There's different types of 10s we have watched on the planet. There are also goal-scoring 10s. Now, someone watching this might say, Husam, you're crazy. But Mainoo has scored very important and big goals for Man United before, which shows he has an eye for goal. Which shows...
Your mic disconnected.
Your mic didn't agree with him, bro, because he's waffling.
Your mic cut out, Hassan.
It just
my mic cut out. Okay, I'm saying... Okay, no problem. I'll increase my volume so you can hear me better now. Hold that, mate.
It wasn't the
when it comes to Mainoo, I'm saying obviously Staffy agreed with the first part I said. I think I cut out after that because of the whole 6 and 10 thing. I think it's gonna be difficult to mold him into a 6 The reason why it's going to be difficult to mold him into a 6 is because he's going to have to be a lot more athletic and do a lot of defensive work. But I think you can mold him into a 10 because he's shown an eye for goal. He scored a lot of important goals for Man United, and he could be like the next Foden, the next Musiala, like a goal scoring 10 essentially.
What does McAllister have over Mainoo, Husam, for you? McAllister is 26, Kobe Mainoo is 19. They kind of look similar. Ball retention, passing the ball. I think Kobe Mainoo would be a perfect 8 in a midfield 3. Like
How am I waffling if we're talking about midfield 2?
Literally say 10 or
we're
6.
talking about midfield 2. Midfield 2.
He's
talking about what we have right now, Mo. I agree with you.
He's gonna be next to Ugarte. I think next to Ugarte it will work. Next to Ugarte.
I mean, as I'm waffling, and then he says next to Ugarte, which is my exact point.
But this is also why,
though. 8, not a 6 or a 10.
And guys, we can argue about this forever. But we can argue about this forever. But this is also why it's
angry.
Guys, but this is why it's also
he waffles a lot, bro. He waffles a lot, and then
he literally agreed, Mo.
He literally said. Staffy.
Okay, 1 second. Staffy's the United fan. What position do Man United have in their midfield? What position?
It's either 6 or 10.
6 and a 10. What?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're Mainoo, would you put him as a 6 or a 10?
He can play
I can't put him in the 6. I think they both lack.
No, I think Ugarte defense for him. Bruno Fernandes ahead of him with Amad Diallo. I think it works. Other way around, it doesn't work.
Mo, hold on. He doesn't have the height and the legs to cover in that midfield. Him and Ugarte.
More than Bruno.
And that's one of the big things that I spoke. And Terry will vouch on this because I said it in January when we were linked with Ugarte. I mean, to be fair, we didn't play a midfield 2 by then. But remember, Terry, I told you I worry about the size that we have in the midfield or in the team in general. I felt like one of the things we struggled with against Liverpool was the lack of legs. When you look at someone like Gravenberch is a gazelle next to him. He was just running that midfield a lot. The amount of yards you have to cover in that role, and you have 2 midfielders that are under 6 feet, I don't think it helps. And to be fair, Mainoo looks a little bit heavier than last season anyways. Like he bulked up compared to last year.
Yeah,
I just feel there's a lack of agility and flexibility in midfield.
I understand where you're coming from with that, but that's also why we go back to the points everyone's making. There's a lot of Maradons in the comments. Or he doesn't suit a double pivot. So the same people laughing that he's not untouchable are also saying he doesn't suit the way the club is developing the squad. So therefore, why would he not be? Why would he be? Therefore, why would he be untouchable? And this is the thing that United fans have got to wake up and realize. The club has decided to go down a certain path. The only time this path is wrong is if after Amorim, we go in a completely new direction. We don't know if we're going to do that until it happens. So there's no point stressing any energy. But if we have players, it shouldn't matter who they are. If they're not suited to how we play, they shouldn't be untouchable. It's a simple, and the irony is, if those all players everyone wants to stay leave, and we become a better team and win the Prem, no one's going to give a shit. No one will care. No one will care one jot. So the principle of the matter isn't the problem. It's the results that come after it. So that's what people should focus on. We're going to go to some super chats here. First one says, favorite show of the week. Happy New Year, guys. Thank you very much, Patrick. Obviously, Staffy has joined us this week to be part of the best show of the week.
Made it worse. Better or worse. I'm sorry, this is joking.
Stop disrespecting Staffy.
That
you call him a waffler.
Hold on.
I made the show worse.
That super chat was sent before you joined. So that means this super chat is not meant to you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but neither does it mean that I made it worse.
Yeah, at least lie to him. At least make him think it's about him.
Maybe if he would have waited until I joined, he would have been like, oh, why? Actually, the show's now better. Let me type a new super chat.
Maybe he can tell us in the chat now. Maybe he can tell us in the chat.
Let us know, people. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thank you very much to IFC. This is for Husam. This super chat to him. So if True Blue Clay wins it, if we hit the target super chats, and if True Blue Clay comes out on the random draw, Husam will get the PlayStation 5. There we go.
They never let me down. My community.
Big up, Terry. Didn't you say Husam isn't supposed to be on here since he bottled Sunday? Obviously, I was joking. Of course, it was a joke, but just kidding. Love the show. Merry
Coptic Christmas.
Coptic Christmas as well.
Yes, it was yesterday. Yes, in Egypt here, everyone in Egypt is celebrating Christmas yesterday, 7th of January. The whole country was off.
Nice. You say you sell Mainoo to Real Madrid, even with the buyback clause. Man United are not getting him back. Why would a top club develop him and give him back? Yeah, very unlikely. I hear you. LUG, Love United Hate Glazers, 1980, 1980, 1958. Sorry, my reading was awful there. Mainoo doesn't want to leave. United are not selling him. Stop this. Yeah, right now, I'm not even stressed about it because both sides have briefed that they're not actively looking at this right now. So, yeah, it's not a worry. So, ordinarily, if I super chat, it's fine. But if your intention is to win and you wouldn't super chat, otherwise, trust me, I know it's shit. Give me the PS5. I hear you. Yeah, like most of my, this is the thing. Most of my super chatters are the same super chatters all the time. And the reason why we're giving away these prizes, free memberships, we're doing the PS. We've given away a few people in the comments being a bit salty about it. And they're obviously just fans of channels that don't give back to them, really. But we've given it, you can go and ask I think we've given away 2 PlayStations and 2 Xboxes over the last 4 or 5. We've done this many times before. We don't do it all the time. It makes it more fresh. Remember, we did this thing? We used to have an envelope. And you had to like guess what word was in the envelope. Like people have won those prizes and people have tweeted about
What
them.
was the word in the envelope, by the way?
I don't remember what the word was now. I honestly don't remember what the word was.
Someone in the chat let us know because I remember I got involved in that as well. It was like guess a phrase that some people say while watching a football game, right?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was. I probably should remember, but it was like 4 years ago.
Someone in the chat will remind us, please.
Yeah, someone will remember what it was, but yes, let us know. Garnacho should be moved on. His profile and position doesn't fit the system. For Mainoo, I prefer Edison with Ugarte as starters. Sell him for FFP. Luke Skywalker says hit the like. Absolutely, get the likes up, people. Let's hit 2,000 likes while we're live, please. Let's get that done. So FFG don't want to spend again. Well run.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I did read you weren't spending this window actually. I read a story.
That's such shocking
with Sam.
news.
Hypothetical question: if Salah and Van Dijk leave Liverpool, then would Saka and Saliba be the ideal replacements?
Saliba would be an ideal replacement for Van Dijk. I completely agree with that. I don't think Saka would be an ideal replacement for Salah. I don't think you can find, because Saka has no personality. You need someone with personality to replace Salah. Salah is very arrogant. Okay, guy, can I answer the fucking question? Salah is very arrogant.
I didn't say
Salah is very confident in his abilities and he can create something out of nothing. Saka doesn't have that yet. So we need someone who's a lot more arrogant, someone who is not humble at all, someone who has character, personality. I think a good replacement for Salah would be someone like a Kvaratskhelia, like someone like that, of that ilk, just who can just do something out of nothing. Kudus is a better replacement for Salah than Saka, even though Saka is a lot better player.
There we go. A great question, great answer. Patrick here says part of the outrage about Mainoo is this: we can't get rid of less talented. Yeah, I'll probably read the super chat first. Less talented players, so we are selling good young talent for what seems to be to raise funds. Patrick, I understood that argument, and I saw loads of people tweet, why would we sell Mainoo before Anthony? Let's just paint a picture that the finances are... I also think, by the way, listen, this is 19 years of Glazonomics. They're not getting enough attention for the financial situation we're in. Do I think we're as poor as we're preaching? No. And I also think that's a good strategy because you shouldn't never show off about how much money you've got. You always get charged more, right? Equally, we're not going to sell Mainoo over Anthony because we think Anthony's better. The reason you might not sell Anthony is because no one wants him. If you can't sell somebody and you have to raise funds, it's not that you think... And I saw people tweeting yesterday, how can they think Anthony and how can they think what's the other name I saw? What is that? That was your mic, Sam. That was your mic. Your mic went crazy. It's see if you're still doing it. Yeah, Sam, your mic's going crazy. Your mic's gone mad. It's really like high. It's yeah. Turn it down. It's really high. I've got to mute you. That's really crazy loud. Wayne here says, embarrassed to call myself an Arsenal fan. Most knee-jerk fans ever. 9th of January. Same points as this stage last season. 3rd in the Champions League. Still in the FA Cup. The hyperbole and overreaction is just
brilliant, Wayne.
crazy.
You're absolutely brilliant. Keep up the energy. Fantastic energy, Wayne. You're going to win the Champions League. You're going to win the FA Cup. You're going to win the Carabao Cup. You're going to win the league. And Sam, your mic is fucked.
Sam, your mic is playing up. It's really playing up. Yeah. So go on.
But Wayne, I'm just going to tell you, Wayne, if you think the most positive Arsenal fans, even now at the current moment, they are saying that they don't see this Arsenal as good as the Arsenal of last season. So, with all due respect, Wayne, if you think that you're the same team as last season, as the team that was great last season at the end of the season, as the team that Terry used to call scary last season, that is not. You're not scary anymore, in my opinion. Not in the current moment. You literally shat your bed at the Emirates yesterday.
2 seasons ago, but yeah,
Is it good now?
that's better, much better.
Thank you. I have no idea what the hell just happened, but fair enough.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So, Wayne, with all due respect, literally Isak and Gordon and Newcastle without Fabian Schär, without Bruno Guimaraes, rocked up at the Emirates 1-2-0 and just went back to St. James's Park. Wayne, that's not the same team as last
That's why
season.
yesterday when I joined the match reaction, I said something. Look, if you want to say Saka wasn't there, no problem. Okay, Bruno Guimaraes wasn't there, and that's Newcastle's best player as well. So we have to be honest about these conversations.
Dan Burn plays
Listen,
centre back.
Wayne, I'll be honest with you. Warning signs are there with your club. You have to be very careful.
Like the people that think that, yeah, Arsenal, you guys praised Arsenal. I did. Arsenal looked good for some whatever reason. Mikel Arteta has lost the personality of this team. That Mikel Arteta has took the team back this season. Again, last season, 16 wins out of 18 games, were even the only game that lost you the league. West Ham, you literally peppered West Ham's goal, but you're just not clinical. Yesterday, you had 3 shots on target, my man. Isak was bowling around your defenders. Tonali literally controlled that midfield ahead of you. And with all due respect, you're not that guy anymore. You're not scary anymore. That's it. You're not. And if
God's will here. It says Judge Mo. Sorry, it says Judge Mo just argues to argue. No logic. Kid doesn't have legs to be a 6. Staffy watches his club more. It's like me telling you Barella is a winger.
Godwell, number
Why
one.
didn't you give me credit, Godswill?
Hold on. I know that you have Maldini on your picture, so definitely you're bitter and you're a hater because I'm here and that.
But they beat you Monday, so why would he be bitter?
No, he just
Forza Milan per sempre,
we just want to banter. Bro, you drew at Man United, the worst Man United in 30 years at home 2-2, bro. One of the worst Man United.
This is one of the worst AC Milans ever. AC Milan went from Maldini to Pulisic and Tammy Abraham. Forza Milan.
Anyway, I gotta hold that L.
Forza Milan.
Gotta hold that. But I don't argue for the sake of the argument, and I disagree with you. I think actually Kobe Mainoo is not that bad. People think that doesn't have any legs. I think he can be a very good next to someone who has legs next to him, which is Ugarte, who can tackle him. I think though.
But Mo, you're not wrong. I just don't think him and Ugarte are perfect partners for each other. That's the only.
There is no perfect partner, Staffy, but it's the best partnership. Better than Bruno. It is better than Ugarte and Bruno. Okay, it's better than Ugarte and Bruno. It's better than Mainoo and Bruno.
No, you're not wrong. No. In that essence, you're not wrong. I'm talking about in the idea of that you can buy another play. So if we are going to buy a midfielder to play in this team, and you could probably put a better partner to Mainoo, then I agree with it. You can.
Who's the better partner? Can you give me a name in the world?
I wanted Amadou Onana. I thought he would be perfect.
I hear you. But Amadou Onana is the same as it's Amadou Onana. It's kind of similar to Ugarte, but better abilities, right?
He's a taller Ugarte in terms of what he does.
Yeah, okay.
I thought he can.
So that's why I say that he can be like Mainoo can play next to
The reason
Ugarte.
why Godswill is saying you're waffling and
you could put partnerships together.
Me and Staffy said the same thing out of it.
Anyway,
yeah. Staffy, aren't Ugarte and Kobe 6 foot? Ugarte 5'11". I think Kobe might just be about 6 foot. Yeah, something like that.
They're both actually just about 6 feet.
But,
Terry, how tall are you again?
Technical. I'm just trying to say that we need a
I don't understand this.
Huh?
Oh, so
Ugarte is bigger than Kobe Mainoo.
I think Mainoo is like 5'11"ish, and Ugarte.
Well, but Mainoo, I thought Mainoo was a lot shorter than he was. He just looks very short. But then I saw him on some clip when he was doing an interview with Man United, and he stood up next to somebody that we know 6 foot, and they were like the same height. But yeah, I mean, I googled it. I googled Mainoo, and it said that he's 5 foot. One of them said 5'9", some said 5'7". But taller. I've seen him next to people that I saw him standing next to Rashford, and they were like the same height. But
He
maybe
said
he
he's
has-
6 feet, but it doesn't matter. 5'11", 6
maybe
feet.
Rashford
yeah,
is
yeah,
next
yeah.
one.
I'm not.
It's still
I'm
not
not.
tall.
Yeah, yeah. They're not 6'1", 6'2". Nothing like that. You asked me how
How
tall
tall
I
are
was.
you, Terry?
I'm 5'10".
Okay.
If I'm being really specific, I'm like 5'10" and a little bit, but that sounds really weird. So just 5'10". Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just 5'10". Yeah, I hear you.
5'10". Yeah, I'm not tall, not short. I'm just 5'10". Do you know what I mean? One of them ones. The only decent sales we have had in the past has been Dan James and Scott and Mo. What frustrates me is you saying we're not that big club anymore, yet you keep judging us as a big club. Pick one.
So which one you want to be judged on? I
No,
literally in the last
reverse on Joshua.
No.
in the last match
Respect
reaction.
Joshua, mate.
In the last match action, I said Man United had a good result against Liverpool, 2-2. That's their level, blah blah blah. I'm not judging Man United now as a team that should be challenging for a title. That is my take.
Guys, our own manager said we're a big club, but we're not a big team. What are you
That's
targeting?
a whole
football
point.
with?
That's it.
Arsenal fans don't deserve to win anything. Half of them have never supported, or even worse, half of them have never supported, and even worse, they always blame the wrong people. Owners are a shambles, is what Abraham says here about Arsenal. Jeez. What do you guys make of Arsenal yesterday?
I have to start this section off. First, I want to talk about Arsenal. Listen, yesterday I did a watch along. I was thinking Arsenal win 1-0 at the Emirates, Arsenal win 2-1 at the Emirates, and they make this interesting for St. James's Park. Let's all establish something. This is over. Everyone stop lying to yourself. You want to talk about mentality, all this bullshit, it's done. You're not going to go to a stadium where you had one shot on target in 2 years and score 3 goals with no reply. That's just not objective. That's just not realistic. It's finished. It's done. Arsenal are now out of the Carabao Cup. The Liverpool versus Newcastle final is going to be a very interesting one. Let's see if we can beat them in the Carabao Cup final. But it's going to be a very interesting final. But when it comes to Arsenal yesterday, Arsenal had a pathetic performance, pathetic display, to be honest with you. And it's just not good enough. If you're an Arsenal fan, you have to call this out. And I understand someone might say we don't care about the Carabao Cup. No problem. You don't care about the Carabao Cup. But guess what? This is the semi-final now. There is no one who doesn't care about the competition when it gets to semi-final level. Everyone cares about the competition at semi-final level. When you get to an advanced stage of a competition, it becomes an important competition. So when it comes to Arsenal Football Club, this was a chance for them to get some success. This was a chance for them after building their team to actually get something. And at the end of the day, they've just got to the position where they're just absolutely pathetic right now. And the reason why there is no excuse is because there was no excuse from a player missing perspective, because just like you missed your best player, they missed their.
I think there's muted. Oh, your mic cut off.
Your mic cut off again. Don't turn it up like you did before, though. It just cut off again. Something went.
It just cuts off. Like there's no volume.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
You might have
so
a wire.
as I was saying, okay, so I'm going to just stay from here. As I was saying, when it comes to Arsenal, it's the fact that it's the best player from Newcastle missing and the best player from Arsenal missing. And even they didn't even have Fabian Schär. You have a lot better squad. So I would expect that Arsenal do something. But there's a big criminal in all this. Mikel Arteta. And that's the big criminal in all this, because you have to find a style and a system that gets the best out of your players. And he hasn't done that. And you have to find the solution. Me and Mo did this on MHF 5-6 days ago. We went through the time where Liverpool lost out on Mo and Mane for a whole month. He just wasn't there. They just weren't there. By the way, Senegal got to the final. Egypt got to the final. 2 best forwards literally out. We found an in-house solution. Oxlade-Chamberlain, you moved to the right. Fabinho started scoring goals. Fabinho scored 5 goals in 8 games. Now, I'm not going to be shameless and say Arteta blamed the ball. He didn't, because he got asked the question. So I'm not going to be doing anything. He got asked the question, but I'm just criticizing the way he responds to the question, because you could just say, listen, yes, it's a different ball, but it has no effect on the result. You could just said that politely and just kept it stepping. But the biggest criminal in all this is Terry Flowers, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Mr. Arsenal are scary. That's the biggest criminal and culprit in this whole conversation. Arsenal are not scary anymore. They don't scare anyone. And this has been proven yesterday. Newcastle United came to the Emirates with no Bruno Gomares, with no Fabian Schär, and they took off Alexander Isak with 30 minutes to go. I have never seen Newcastle took the absolute piss out of Arsenal. They took off Isak with 30 minutes to go. They were so sure they aren't going to concede a goal. At the end, they were playing 5-5-0. That was their formation. I'm disappointed Terry didn't make on the stream yesterday. Newcastle are scary. Hey Terry, what's going on with your team, mate? Talk to me.
Do you know what's really I've enjoyed about the last 24 hours is the amount of DMs I've had, the amount of messages I've had, and obviously people still writing Arsenal was scary. And look, I'll give a serious answer and I'll have a bit of fun with it. It's not something I like saying too often, but I wasn't wrong 2.5 years ago when I said Arteta and Arsenal look scary. When I said they would become title contenders that season, they proved me right. They reached that level. They almost won it 2 years running. The irony in it is this, and this is what I love about social media, and I genuinely mean this is from a positive point of view, is there's certain things you must have all experienced this. There's certain things you say, no matter what you say after, people remember that one thing. I haven't predicted Arsenal for the last 2 seasons to win the league, but yet I got people DMing me yesterday saying, "Do you still think they're winning the league this year?" I didn't predict it. I didn't say they were going to win the league. But on a real level, yeah, Arsenal got themselves to that level that I expected to 2.5 years ago. They looked formidable in periods of the last 2 seasons. They developed a team that I did feel, and again, I'm talking my perspective as someone that was still in the mud as a United fan. They worried me. They were always there with us. They were always the banter club in that regard. No matter how bad your team did, Arsenal were always there to pick up that mantle. And they kind of left us behind, and it frustrated me. But you got to give credit where credit's due. This season, though, in my opinion, they haven't reached those same heights. I didn't think they started too badly. They started slow, but that's normal. Most of the big clubs start quite slowly, but get results. If I think back to the PSG game in the Champions League, they look great. They look really good. They pressed well. They attacked well. I remember you two gentlemen, and I'm not trying to pass the buck here. I'm just trying to, case in point, in the sort of September and October, you were waxing lyrical about them, and I thought they'd continue to grow. They just haven't done that. And I think Mikel Arteta, I don't necessarily know. Listen, I'm not saying anyone's wrong. It may be that he's telling the players not to attack as much. It may be a case of him becoming much more pragmatic than he needs to be. I think that's a fair point. There's certain players that have just not got to the levels. The biggest mistake I made is thinking that, in terms of an opinion, is I thought Martinelli and I thought Trossard. If I look at Martinelli and Trossard, they're 2 players that I thought would be doing much better for Arsenal than they are right now. Kai Havertz has done what Kai Havertz does. I think he's been a decent signing for them, scored quite a few goals, but we know he isn't the clinical guy. Should have scored that chance yesterday, by the way, but he's never going to be that prolific 30-goal a season in all comp guy. But I really did think Martinelli and Trossard would deliver a lot more in that attack than they have done. I also think, and I thought about this long and hard without saying anything, I'd listened to everybody else's conversations. Declan Rice playing as the 8 doesn't work for me. I think when he's a 6, when he's breaking up play, when he's winning the ball back, when he's kind of starting off the attacks from that position, that's where he's at his absolute best. And I look at Arsenal and I think maybe it's a system. Maybe the players are getting bored of this manager. Maybe it is time for something new. Or could it just be go out and buy a goal scorer, go out and buy a genuine replacement for Xhaka? And I think maybe you see a different Arsenal again. I don't necessarily think I'm seeing some gooners keep faith. That's fair. I'm seeing others. I watched a few shows last night, a few match reactions where they're talking about the team and the squad and the club like it's on the brink of disaster. I don't think it's that bad. You go out now, and I'm going to name a couple of players. You go out and sign Mbeumo and Gyökeres. It's a different Arsenal. I think Arsenal would look a different team. You go out and get a very good midfield player that can go into playing that kind of 6 role, up and down the pitch, and go and get Gyökeres. It's a very different Arsenal team. And if I was a gooner, what I'd be frustrated about on a real level is why every link, and we're talking about 2 of them on the show today, but might as well do it now that you brought it up. They want Nico Williams. dangerous on that left-hand side. Not been too prolific this season, but dangerous. They're linked to Mbeumo. Isak news today. They want Isak, top of the list. But everything's the summer. That would frustrate me as an Arsenal fan because I feel like they're really close still. But they're not spending now. And maybe you guys see it differently to me. I don't understand why they're not investing now. But in terms of the scary stuff, look, when I said it, I meant it. When I said it, I believed it. What I predicted at that point came true. Not everything I predicted, because no one's predictions fully come. I had a gooner. He DM'd me last night saying, "Oh, you told us we were scary and that we were going to become title challengers." I said, "You did." He went, "Yeah, but look at us now." I said, "But what's that got to do with me? I don't understand. I don't know what I did." I also said back to him, because he's a good guy, he's a nice guy. I said, "You predicted that you wouldn't make top 4 that season. You were wrong. What's that got to do with, like, you're not the, I don't get it." But listen, you can point the finger at me all you want. I don't care. It's not the end of the world for me, but on a real conversation about Arsenal, which I think is where Gooners should spend most of their time, rather than pointing fingers at me or a Babs or a Robbie or a Troops or a Curtis Shaw. You're the reason. I tell you now, no social media content creators are the reason that Arsenal didn't win the game last night. They need to go and spend some money. But I don't know, boys. I want to throw this back to you. Why?
Before the other two go, I just want to say one comment.
Yeah, go on.
I think the best thing Arsenal can do right now is get rid of Arteta and hire a different manager. Because I think they just need a different voice.
Mid-season.
And I'm not saying get rid of Arteta like he's a crap manager or he's a shit manager. I just think they need something new. They need something fresh. They need fresh
Like
ideas.
now or later?
Yeah, like
No.
right now or in the summer.
But here's the thing. What difference does it make? Yeah, but what difference
Maybe
does
it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
okay,
Now
I'll tell you
or
the
in the summer? Of course.
Okay, I'll tell you why the timing
Now means they might have.
Yeah, Habibi, okay, let me answer. I'll tell you the reason why the time doesn't matter on a real. If they sack Arteta now and get Iraola in, let's say, I'm going to use Iraola as the example. Very good offensive manager. I think he's the next big thing from the non-top 6 clubs. Let's say they get Iraola tomorrow. If they get him tomorrow, are they going to win the league or the Champions League? Probably not. Like, maybe they have a chance in the FA Cup. If they get him in the summer, he builds a squad like for the one that he wants and he buys players. So there's kind of advantages here, disadvantages there. But I really don't think Arteta will get them over the line. I just don't think he will. Because the season that Manchester City have 2 wins in 15, you're still not top of the league. That's the thing. That's why I don't feel sympathy towards Arsenal. And I had this conversation with Igal. I told him, listen, if you were top of the league and then Saka got injured and then you ended up losing the league because of Saka's injury, I'd have a bit sympathy. I'd have a bit more understanding. You lost your best player. I get it. Bukayo Saka is a very good player, very important player for Arsenal. However, because you were not top at the time of his injury, I have no sympathy. Because you weren't there even while he was there. So you have you literally have no excuses.
I'm not sure I agree with you completely about now. Might be at the end of the season because they still might win the FA Cup. Like, I think now it might take them backwards more than take them like forward, to be honest. Like, imagine if they get Raola now and they start losing games and they miss out completely on the Champions League. Imagine Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Man City and Chelsea catch up to them because it's close. It's not that far. If I'm not mistaken, Man City are 6 points behind them. If I'm not mistaken, that is not a lot to catch.
That's horrible, Mo.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. So I don't think they should sack Arteta today because there is a danger of Arsenal missing out on top 4 if they continue play like this. If that gate is open and you start losing game at the Emirates and people start playing like Newcastle yesterday, because yes, they have Isak and Gordon, other teams have good players too. Bournemouth have good players. They can hurt you at the Emirates as well.
Brighton have good players. Villa have good players.
If you start opening that gate, you're dropping points at the Emirates now. Where do we go from here? As Husam always says, where do we go from here? Are you dropping out of the top 4 now? Is Arteta, after all these years, might miss out on the Champions League? Listen, I said that Arteta did a fantastic job. I said if my manager leaves, I'll take Arteta at my club. He did a fantastic job with this Arsenal team. I agree with Terry. And me and Husam agreed with this before. He made them challengers. They won a lot of games. But now, it was the year to deliver last season, and it was the year to deliver this season. And cups are not even enough. You need to win the Champions League or the Premier League. But even losing the cups made it worse. You're not coming back from the Newcastle thing, which a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, it's not over yet.
It's over. It's
No-
over. Give it up.
99% it is over. You're not going to. You're not rocking up
We're
to
going to
St. James's Park.
and
and-
winning 3-0. It's just not
No
going
No,
one's
you're
winning
not.
3-0 at St. James's Park. No one.
Honestly,
Not
don't
even
forget anyone
no
right
one.
now.
Literally,
Like,
no
But
one.
I don't understand. Arsenal fans think we're overreacting. Like you
Salah
guys think.
put in an all-time performance and we drew at the St.
Yeah,
James's
yeah,
Park.
exactly.
It's not gonna happen, bro. It's not gonna happen.
And he was in form, and they were in bad form too. Mo, if I may,
Go ahead.
listen,
That
I think it's a
stadium under the lights as well. Go ahead, Staffy. Sorry.
yeah, I think it's a combination of issues. I understand Husam was calling you out, obviously, for banter, Terry, but the reason we do reference you, number one, we work with you, so it's always a little bit like fun to just
Yeah,
go
of
back
course,
and
of
revisit
course, of
our
course.
takes. So we all remember the stuff that we say. That's the beauty of Straight Facts. It's like a Netflix show. You always go back and you just remember what happened in the last episode. I think one of the issues that were presented this season with Arsenal fans and all the stuff that we've been talking about, I felt like there was a lack of acknowledgement to how bad the squad building has become over the last 2 transfer windows. I was here after the United game when we lost 2-0 on set pieces, and I said, congrats on the 3 points. You deserve them on the day. You are the better team. However, if I'm in 5 years into my process with a new manager, and this is how I'm winning games this season, unconvincingly most times. Yes, you do have one very strong flex on teams, which is set pieces. But outside of that, I think you're just as good or less than a lot of teams out there. It's still not good enough. A lot of people thought it was saltiness. It really wasn't. The summer, same thing. I said it is no longer a process when you go back on some of your principles. A process is getting from destination A to destination B. As I said before, if I want to walk out of that door, the process is I got to take every step towards that door until I actually exit it. If I change my direction and I start walking the other way, it is no longer a process because I change where I want to go. Arteta built a very good attacking team in his first 3 years. And all Arsenal fans were very happy with the brand of football he was playing. We called it very similar to Pep. He was recruiting a certain type of players, and it was working, and it was looking good, and he eventually became a contender. I think the minute they became contenders, he started changing his approach a little bit. Terry, you'll remember this. I said it one time when I had a debate with Souls. I said, I think he went into a defensive mindset a little bit too early. I think I said he did what Pep did, which is starting playing more center backs and recruiting more physical players into this team, but he's done it a little bit early. Pep did it when he was winning, but it became a point where City were just scoring a tremendous amount of goals and they were just very weak on the counter. And he's like, you know what, Bunda, I need to have a full lineup, a full back four of center backs. I looked at the recruitment that they made and I didn't agree with it. I didn't think Calafiori should have been a priority. I didn't like the Moreno signing. Sterling, I'm not even going to speak about. And I know, as I said, a lot of Arsenal fans want a striker, and I understand why. The Havertz missed yesterday. He actually explains it more. But I said the attacking signings was the biggest issue. I've been an advocate for how long now saying they need a left winger. Husam, you said something earlier that I don't agree with. You said their best player was out and their best player was out. So you compared Gomes to Saka. You know what the difference is? When Gomes is out, you look at that midfield. I forgot who started yesterday, but look at that midfield. They still have Tonali and they still have Joelinton. So the drop-off...
Tonali, Joelinton, Willock.
Thank you.
He still looks better than Arsenal midfielder.
Exactly, Mo. But here's the thing: you lose one of those three midfielders. The other two still kind of keep the level of how good that midfield is. Because that midfield with Willock in there, there's still a lot of pace, there's still a lot of power, there's still a lot of ball retention. There's everything in that midfield. You lose Saka, you generally drop off by a country mile.
But
without Saka, I was listening to the match reaction yesterday. Remember, Mo, I texted you when the Arsenal reps were speaking. I said it's actually not that difficult. People were sitting there and they kept blaming Odegaard.
No personality.
I think Odegaard has been poor. But here's the thing. You are not relying on one player for creativity anyways. Once Saka's out of that team, there is generally zero creativity of the wings. I understand Havertz can be missing his first.
Yeah, Husam.
Your mic is just trash today. Your mic is just trash. The front line yesterday, without Saka, again, I'm looking at that front line. That front line is unable to break a lot of teams.
Can I interject and ask a question before you go about that front line? And I want to ask everyone in the chat this. Rory talks football. He's a friend. He does a lot of shows with me. He did a lot of shows with the Football Terrace before as well. He was speaking at the end of 2024 about how good Kai Havertz's numbers were with non-penalty GA compared to Haaland and all this stuff. And at that time, I went back and I checked. At that time, he released that video. It was a true thing. He was speaking facts. He was saying, if you're saying that Haaland is the best striker in the world, and if Kai Havertz is matching that output, that means, by definition, Kai Havertz is great. What happened? I want to know what happened. Why Kai Havertz went from having a 2024, he's matching Erling Haaland, non-penalty GA, to Kai Havertz today being completely out of the game. Look at how he played yesterday. Look how he played the days before. Something has happened in this Arsenal team that made Kai Havertz not be the guy that was scoring goals, being clutch last season, the guy this season that completely. Look at him yesterday. He's going for the bodies. Again, it's Man United. He was trying to hurt Maguire, and De Ligt is not even trying to play the ball. Something happened. That's why I wanted to ask people, because I don't know the answer. How could you go from being matching Erling Haaland to today?
Do you know what?
But do you expect Havertz to keep up with Haaland numerically? I think that's a little bit diluted if you think so. Like, does anyone
That's a fact. Staffy, that was a fact. He literally matched Erling Haaland non-penalty GA.
No. I know it's a fact, but to keep up with him. So what the video you're talking about that Rory made, I don't know when that was, but whatever it was over that period of time, do you really expect that Kai Havertz in any team that he's playing in being the player that he is, which is not an out-and-out goal scorer anyways, you think he's going to keep up numerically with Haaland? You think he's that level where he's going to keep up with him for a whole season?
But to be at least a little guy, the guy is turning into literally, with all due respect, he's turning into a donkey on the pitch. With all due, what I mean a donkey, I don't mean disrespect to Havertz, but I mean you're turning into someone who's not.
To answer your point, Mo, right? I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think the confidence is really low in the attack for this Arsenal team right now. Now, everyone will have a different person to blame, but confidence plays a big part in attackers. We've actually seen Haaland, for a player of his goal-scoring ability, for a player of his level, Haaland has had what I would say, when City was struggling in that 12-13 game run with one win, he was struggling to score because confidence is important. The lack of creativity was there. That plays a part. The thing with Kai Havertz, this is why I said Kai Havertz has been a good signing. And Arsenal fans are doing what I've seen my fan base do, and I mean Man United fans, not my literal fan base. I don't think I have one. And all of our clubs have done. Sometimes you sign a player that isn't quite what you need. And that player seems to get a lot of the stick, as opposed to, well, he's actually delivering against his levels, but you need more, right? And I think that what's being exposed here is Kai Havertz is never going to be the guy that scores those half chances. Half chances have now got a new game. They're called low XG chances. I still think half chances sound better. That isn't Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is never going to be that guy who scores those low opportunity goals. And I think those two things combined, when other players are not delivering, becomes a major issue. So Kai Havertz will probably score. I don't know what's he scored. What's he scored this season in all comps for Arsenal? If I say 12 goals, I might be lying. I don't know. Let me go and check. Halfway through the season, what's he on goal-wise? Let me go and check now. 12 goals, yeah, in all comps. 14 last season. So he's, if he ends up this season on 24 goals, let's say he doubles that, right? He ends up on 24 goals. That is not a bad return of goals in all competition. I think his salary is a little bit too high for a player that's scoring at that level. He isn't the out-and-out problem. Trossard and Martinelli being nowhere near, and the irony about them two not being anywhere near their levels, when you actually speak to the Arsenal fans that come on our shows, who are the biggest sort of, who are quite big detractors of Arteta, they're players that they rated. They're the players that they were like, best technicians, best ballers, best this. Those guys haven't delivered where they need to. So plus they haven't gone and bought that prolific striker. So I think it becomes a combination of things. If, for instance, Martinelli was performing like 2 years ago, or had done what he should have done, or Arsenal fans hoped he would do, go to another level. If Trossard was delivering like he was at other stages in his Arsenal career, Kai Havertz tracking towards 24 goals this season probably wouldn't be an issue, because they're also delivering. But it's a combination. So I don't think it's just because Kai Havertz isn't this deadly prolific scorer. There's multiple other factors of the attack That ain't right. You look at the last 3 or 4 games, they've won most of them, or they're not lost most of them. Odegaard's been an absolute ghost. Odegaard's been really, really poor, and the creativity isn't there. And what's the alternative to him? And they've got Waneri, but he's not. He starts a couple of games and he's picked up an injury. So listen, I'm not defending Kai Havertz in isolation. I still think they need a goal scorer who's more prolific than him. There's more prolific than Martinelli. But I don't think and this is where I think Arteta and the board have got to look at themselves. If there's any arrogance here going on, drop it. What you're trying right now through system and personnel, it's going to make you a top 4 team. It's going to make you competitive. But I don't think it's going to get you over the line to win the league. I think they've got to eat a little bit of humble pie here, because I don't think this is a terrible Arsenal team and Arsenal squad. It's got a few holes in it, and you fill those holes with the right quality player, and I think Arsenal can do the business.
I think he's maxed out what he can achieve with this team, Terry. I'm being really honest.
And I agree.
In this camp.
Hang on a second. So, let me ask you. I want to let you finish that answer. Even if he was to sign Gyökeres and say he signed Gyökeres and he signed Nico Williams, you still
It's
don't
not going to
think...
happen, though.
Hang on. But let me ask a question.
Hypothetically.
So even if he signs, because he's linked to these players, right? So it's semi-hypothetical. Say he signs a couple of these players he's linked to. Do you still think he's tapped out and won't get over the line?
I can't listen. I can't give a different answer because I haven't seen it. I can only tell you what I think would happen, and I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. I've seen the attacking signings that he's made over the last few years, and I've seen the way he used them. Your best attacking outlet was someone you didn't even sign, which is Saka. Saka was just there. He's an academy product. Every player they signed, listen, I'm not saying Havertz has been horrible. I just don't think he's been that amazing. Every attacking signing he's made, I don't think he took him to the next level. I think that the thing with Arteta is, when I say he's maxed out, I don't sit in this camp where he's been shit for 5 years. There's people that are sitting there yesterday and saying, oh, I've been telling you for 5 years he's shit. Well, that's not true, is it? Because he hasn't been shit for 5 years. He's actually made you a competitor. If you sat there 5 years ago, and I'm not taking a dig at anyone, by the way, I listened to a lot of opinions on Twitter. There's people that sat there for 5 years saying, oh, he's never going to be good enough. But these people actually didn't think they'll be able to compete with Arteta. So he factually proved you wrong. I just think he reached his ceiling. You can sign a Gyökeres, and I don't trust that you're going to be able to put a system where you're playing attacking enough to feed him enough goals. Because I just think, I don't know. I look at the way that he's approached his attack. What's the best thing about this Arsenal team? Their back line. I think he's shown that he's actually a better a defensive coach than he is an attacking coach. A couple years ago, we were calling him a B-Tech Pep. We were wrong. If anything, he's more of a Simeone, because he's been able to build a decent spine that's good defensively. Going forward, I just don't think he maxes out the potential of his players. I haven't seen Martinelli improve. I haven't seen Trossard when he goes into his team, and I really like him. I haven't seen him take the next level and improve. I haven't seen Kai Havertz do anything different than what I've seen at Chelsea. The only one that probably went to the next level, and that's maybe more of a testament on how good of a talent he is Saka. So
and
I can't sit here and tell him one or two players.
Odegaard.
I don't believe
Odegaard was talented anyway.
And Ben White. And Ben
let me
White,
just say one thing
and
more.
Gabriel, and Saliba, and Ramsdale, and David Raya.
What about
some
them?
guys?
Okay, Mo. Let me
He
just say,
improved all of
What about
them.
them? What about them?
He improved all of them, guys.
But
I just said that going forward.
Yeah, sorry.
I just said
Yeah,
improving the attack.
Before
I said he's
you go-
done very well with the
Sorry.
back line.
No,
before
he
you-
improved even forwards.
Yeah, Habibi, I just named all the attacking signings, and I don't think he took him to the
He
next level.
he actually improved Havertz. Havertz at Chelsea
I
was
don't
way
know.
less
I
than
don't know if
this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
he
don't know if
improved-
I agree.
People didn't think that Havertz in the second half of the season would have 14 goals, bro. When he played the striker last season, he literally got the best out of the guy.
I hear that. I want to say one thing about what you said there, Staffy, which I think is really important for Arsenal fans to think about. Is, as you say, we've got people in the comments, you know, that said when I was saying about the scary stuff, oh, Terry, just admit you were wrong. What was I wrong about? In terms of the scary thing, you don't need to think they're scary. It was never a thing that you had to. And of course, I had a bit of fun with it when I saw, and I'll stand by a lot of the shows I did. And of course, some of the shows we do are, you know, they're a little bit comedic. There's a little bit of satire. There's a bit of sarcasm. All of us YouTubers do it. And I'd see people ranting and raving when Arsenal were on good runs. And I'd be like, well, you are fearful because you wouldn't be ranting and raving if you had no, you know, I'm not ranting and raving about Nottingham Forest having a good season because I don't actually think in the medium to long term, they're a threat to me. So that's an example. But what you said there, Staffy, I think is really key. There are people now, and I was on Twitter last night, just reading and just digesting it. And I told everybody 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, how bad this football was or how bad this manager is. It's like, yeah, but you got a lot wrong as well. I've said it for about 4 months now. The Arteta in and Arteta out debate is dead. I've seen the TPFs, the toxic positivity fans, 3 years running predicting they're winning the league, they're winning Champions Leagues, etc., etc. They've got that wrong. But what they were right about is that the team would progress, become title challengers, and they did play good football. You've got the opposite side to that, who made a big statement he'll never win a major trophy. That was debunked within 6 months because he won the FA Cup. Then they went on to he'll never win another one, which so far they're right on. But they also stated he wouldn't make top four. He'd never make a title challenge. He wouldn't be able to challenge 2 years running as an example. So if I'm being honest with you, that conversation I feel is dead and is boring. Simply because all of us, plus Gooners, of course, we've got elements of those predictions and opinions right, and we've all got elements of those predictions wrong. What the conversation has to be now is what's right moving forward for Arsenal. That, for me, is where I want to focus the energy, because we could all sit here and have a penis measuring competition and get out, oh, I got this one right. Oh, do you remember that video I made on that date? That was correct. And, oh, yeah, Terry got that one wrong. We've all got it, and I can hold my hands up. And, you know, and I admitted a big mistake of mine. Is it an opinion? I wouldn't call it a mistake. I really thought in the summer that Martinelli would get back to the levels of 2 seasons ago, because I really was excited about watching him as a player. He hasn't done it. I got it wrong about Trossard. I really thought Trossard would be delivering more. I can hold my hands up and admit I've got that wrong. Great. That's now been said. Laugh in the comments. But now let's actually have a grown-up conversation about what moves Arsenal forward. And I think what you said there about
new manager.
You guys all think
new manager. If he doesn't win the league or the Champions League this season, new manager for me, new voice.
Let me just say one thing. More. Look, I agree completely with what Staffy said regarding the forward line. I don't think it's a matter of just bring Nico Williams in and bring Jokers in and they will start winning. I was one of the people that actually backed Arteta. I said that Arsenal are going to win the league this season. I said that Arsenal are going to do really well this season. But I was shocked to see that he reverted to the old styles and the old ways, which didn't work to begin with. I think they need a new voice now. I think it's much bigger than just signing players, because the forward line wasn't spoken about as a whole before the season started. A lot of people didn't address it as a whole. And then as soon as the season starts and they have a couple of bad results, it's all of a sudden a whole. I don't like that. I looked at Arsenal this season and I thought they were more than capable of winning the league. Way more than capable of with their current team, current squad, actually winning the league, actually delivering. But they're incapable of delivering. And I do agree with Staffy. I look at the forward line and I think there's an issue there, like in terms of player improvement, in terms of like them cooking, in terms of them developing an understanding, in terms of them playing well together, you know, in terms of the interchangeability. I mean, there's one thing that many people don't talk about. They have quite an interchangeable front three, because none of them is really a striker. None of them is really a winger, if you would like, you know, maybe besides Saka. Everyone else, like, you know, they could interchange, but he's never really used that. He hasn't had like a game, and I said this to Igal as well. Again, I'm going to reference Igal here, because Igal felt like Arsenal were robbed against Brighton. And I made this statement to Igal. I said, listen, if you hit the post 2 or 3 times going forward and you attacked unbelievably well and you created chance after chance after chance after chance and you were cooking, but that decision was the only reason why Brighton equalized, I'd get it. But Brighton were building up momentum. And I have an unpopular opinion. I think even if they didn't give that penalty, Brighton would have gotten something out of that game, because they deserved to get something out of that game, because they were the one on the front foot. Absolutely. And yesterday at 0-0, one of the guys, I don't do now this XG stuff because I don't have any of these apps. One of the guys who uses the apps heavily sent it to me. Newcastle had more XG from open play. The 1.2 XG Arsenal had was from set pieces. Now, having set pieces as a weapon is very important. Of course, 100% we all agree. Set pieces is a dangerous weapon. And if you win every single game from now to the end of the season 1-0 with one set piece, no one's complaining. We all know that. However, it can't be your main weapon. Like, you need to have another solution if that thing isn't working, if you would like. And I think this is where Arteta has a problem. Arteta has a problem with the team going forward, if you would like. That's where I think his biggest issue is. So you could replace players, but I don't think he would give them the system to operate that they could cook him, which is why when I'm giving replacements, some people say Inzaghi, by the way, just so everyone knows, Inzaghi won't work at Arsenal. Inzaghi will not work at Arsenal. You know, some people are giving names like that, Simeone. I think they need an offensive thinking manager. I think they need someone who could just release the shackles. And I guess from an Arsenal perspective, the thing that should irritate a lot of Arsenal fans is they did release the shackles against Crystal Palace and against Sporting and against West Ham and against Nottingham Forest. But all of a sudden, they put the shackles back on again at Brighton for no reason whatsoever. You're 1-0 up against Brighton, they're rattled. Try to score the second. Try to score the third. Ice the game off. So even if you do get a penalty decision and go against you, it's okay because you're on the front foot. But Arsenal haven't done that this season. Arsenal have not done that this season. Like, I'll give you an example. We drew to Fulham at home. Liverpool 2, Fulham 2. The reason why I, quote unquote, didn't get cooked and people didn't, like, you know, destroy what I was saying, about, because Liverpool were on the front foot. Because Liverpool could have won that game 3-2 even with 10 men. We showed ambition. We showed the ability that we want to win, that we are going for the kill, you know? And by the way, that's how we conceded goals against Man United. Like, we were going forward, Trent loses the ball, we concede goals, like, but we're trying to attack. That's why, the only one time that I remember I ranted about referees like crazy was the Spurs game. Because in that game, I had, in my opinion, 2 players wrongfully sent off and a completely onside goal given as offside. That, okay, rant about it if you have something as bad as that, I get it. But when you're on the back foot and you're getting cooked by Brighton, you want to come up here and tell me you're robbed?
Sam,
No,
it's
you're not
simple,
robbed.
Sam. Listen, it's very simple. In year 5, you're not looking convincing. We can all disagree and agree on the reasons why, but there's no one, I don't care if you're Arteta in or out, there's no way you can watch this Arsenal team this season and be convinced that's the level we should be at in year 5. That's the level we should be at in your supposedly the 3rd year of competing for the league, because you competed 2 years in a row. It should have been a step up season, and not only did you stay stagnant, you actually took a step backwards. So we could sit here and talk about the reasons, but you should as an Arsenal fan, if you really do want to, and I'm really not doing the Arsenal hate thing, because I don't like when people say, "Oh, you hate Arsenal, shut up." I've been trying to be as objective as possible talking about it. You cannot watch this team and you can be happy all season. You pretended that you enjoyed its set pieces. You lied. You didn't. Because look at it now. You're all crashing out right now, and you're saying it's not good enough. And the results are showing. I think, as Mo said, Sam said, I think it's time for a change. I don't think Arteta's a bad manager. It is time for new ideas. It is time for someone to take over this team before this team regresses. And this is very key, because I remember Igal used to say for a couple years now, he would only get rid of Arteta if he sees regression. And that's the biggest mistake big clubs can do. Big clubs know when to move on before they see significant regression, because you still want to be able to maintain a good team with a good mentality and a good momentum and everything. And maybe, just maybe, if it becomes stagnant and you run out of ideas, it's time to give someone else a chance. And I think Arteta's had more than enough chance to win something major for this club, even something minor, and he hasn't won enough. I'm not gonna, as I said, disrespect the job that he's done. I think he's done a decent job, but he hasn't won over the line. And it's time to give someone else. Whether it's Areola or a bigger name manager, I don't care who it is.
Okay. Since I saw the thumbnail of this, I want to ask a question. So Terry had Isak on the thumbnail, and I'm sure that Isak is linked to Arsenal today. They say he's the main target. If Arsenal keep Arteta, if Arsenal don't win the league or the Champions League, and Newcastle make Champions League football next season, and they keep Bruno Guimaraes, and they keep Tonali, and they keep these guys, would Isak, if Arteta stays at Arsenal, would Isak leave Newcastle to go to Arsenal?
I don't think he should.
And that is, you know what? I kept asking myself, I don't know the answer to this. Well, if Arsenal do win this season, do we believe they're going to be better than Newcastle next season, for example? Because if both teams play Champions League, is there going to be an improvement on Arsenal?
Well, how big of a step is it to go from Newcastle right now to Arsenal?
It's a massive step. It's a massive step.
I don't agree. In club
there is a massive gap between the two clubs in terms of the number of trophies, that the legend. Like, I'm sorry.
See what you just said? I said I agree in terms of history, of course.
Yes.
Arsenal are a much bigger club in history. I'm talking about the where they are right now as clubs. Because if I'm Isak, I don't
massive
really
difference. Newcastle finished 10th last season, Staffy 10th. Arsenal finished 2nd with 2 points behind the champions.
Last season. I'm talking about right now, Mo. So here's the thing, Isak. I generally think right now, Isak in the league, it's him and Haaland. They're the best two, in my opinion. In the world, I think if you make a list of top 5, I think Isak is there. The
Yes.
way I saw him yesterday, pick up the ball, release the ball, ask for the ball, take a shot, and that shot led to a goal by a deflection. That's just, bro, he really does give me that aura of a top striker. I think he's at that level yet. Now, I don't mean this in any disrespect. I'd probably say the same thing about United right now, where we are, if we were linked with Isak, even though we're much worse than Arsenal. I'm looking at him right now. I honestly don't know why people think. I heard Arsenal fans say he's arguably the best striker in the world right now. Why would the best striker in the world go to Arsenal right now? Generally, why would he? If I'm him, I can generally get a move back to Real Madrid in any moment. I'm not saying they will come in for him, but that's the level that
No. Don't give me a third option. Don't give me a third option. The two options is Newcastle play Champions League next season, Arsenal play Champions League next season. Would you stay at Newcastle or you move to Arsenal? Don't give me Real Madrid. That's a different story.
But why do I have to limit him to 2 options?
That's the whole argument, Staffy. The whole argument is to have. If Arsenal go for Isak next season,
it's a bigger argument.
I agree. Listen, if it's
leaves this summer.
If you're throwing Real Madrid into the mix, then he's picking Real Madrid, right?
I think that's the level he could get, Terry.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay, but then we got this is where I think we need to be not objective, but we need to frame the question. We need to frame the question correctly, and then the answer has to be based on the question and not outside agents. So if every club's bidding for him, yeah, he goes Real Madrid. So, but let's create. What's the actual question, though?
It's if he's between Arsenal next season, Newcastle play Champions League, Arsenal stay with Arteta, so no new voice, and Arsenal bid for him. Should he go to Arsenal?
I don't think he should.
See,
no, but the reason why I think this is like a silly question is because we do this every summer. At the end of the day, every player in the universe right now, sorry, Flossie, every player in the universe right now would rather play for Arsenal than he would Newcastle.
That is the question that I'm asking. Husam.
Okay, let's be honest here, guys. Let's be honest. Let's have honest. Why the fuck is it changing colors? Let's have honest conversations. Okay. When it comes to football players, I get it. People want to give all these shit hypotheticals regarding like, oh, what if they both have Champions League football? Okay, Steaua Bucharest have Champions League football. Like I don't like this whole like have Champions League football stuff.
Yeah, so
if you're in Isak's place, you're going to Arsenal. But I think there's a bigger question here that no one's bringing to the table, which is Saliba leaving this summer, because I think Saliba is the one that's going to Real Madrid. Speaking of Real Madrid, and that's gonna be kind of the start of like this whole Arsenal need a new rebuild thing. So good luck, mate.
Yeah, so just park Saliba for a moment then. Look, I understand your question and your perspective, Staffy. I think that Newcastle are a team on the up and up. They're a team that's on their way to really good things. Because of PSR, though, I still think it's when the Saudis first came in, most level-headed Geordies said it's a 10-year project until we're ready to win leagues. It's going to take them a long time to raise their income. Isak's got a decision to make. What I won't do to Arsenal is sort of discount their heritage, their name, and the pull that comes with that. They are a very, very big team. And them having some poor football right here, right now, I don't think it's something that deters professionals. And I'm only keeping the same energy because over the last 10 years, the ups and downs of Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, and other teams, we all get thrown at us. How are you going to attract a player when you're not at the peak of your powers? And all the top clubs seem to be able to do that. But I do think it's a big decision for him.
Case in point, Chelsea.
Yeah, a year ago, you'd have said, of course, go Arsenal. They were a point or two away from winning the league, and Newcastle were 10th. This season, you could make an argument for the other way around. But I think we have to see how the season ends. It's a hard question to answer because my gut still says Arsenal, and I'm probably basing that on history and heritage more than anything else. But say by the end of the season, that Newcastle are on an amazing run right now. Let us not forget, 8 games ago, a lot of their fans were calling for Eddie Howe to be sacked. They were in awful form,
and they were 11th,
and they were 11th in the league. But the reason I say this is, in another 10, 15 games time, let's say they finish 8th in the league, lose the Carabao Cup final, that they make it there, and Arsenal come second and do okay in the Champions League, and maybe they win the FA Cup, it will change again. And I think it's one of those things. I mean, imagine Arsenal, just to throw this level thinking into the question, imagine Arsenal go to St. James's Park and win 3-0. Does that change his decision? I think what Isak has to do is not base it on the short-term results of Newcastle or Arsenal. He has to envisage which club is going to be competing for titles and able to win Champions Leagues in the next 4 to 5 years of his career. And that's more the question for me. And at the moment, I understand Newcastle have got this really good trajectory. I'm not sure if they're going to be there because they're probably going to lose Bruno Guimaraes as well. Like, I still think
stop on that point because that's a very good point. I was about to say this. I don't know what's going on internally at Newcastle, but they probably know. You can tell where a club is moving and their projections are. If they're going into the summer, and most of these players know this is probably the last season they're having together because maybe there's financial issues. Maybe they're going to move on from this team. They're going to cash in on all of them. As an example, Bruno G goes to City. Maybe Tonali goes back to Serie A, and then you got Isak getting offers all over the place. In that situation, of course, if Arsenal are the best suitor for you, 100% go for them. I think Arsenal should pursue him anyways. I'm trying to look at it right now if I'm Isak. Isak right now, no disrespect, people can sit here and get upset all they want. Arsenal have history. I understand that. I respect that. And I already know that. However, he's probably about to win a trophy this season. And that's something that Arsenal couldn't do during his whole time in England. So why am I leaving Newcastle?
They're probably going to win a trophy this season.
They're not about to sell this summer.
Respect
Liverpool. They're going to try to keep all their players.
Excuse me, which trophy, mate?
You asking me?
Yeah, which trophy are Newcastle winning?
Bro, they're about to be in a Carabao Cup final.
احترم حالك طيب.
What do you mean? It's true. It is a possibility.
This is Carabao Cup heritage, man.
Yeah, Habiba, I said potentially, maybe. Let's just pretend they get to the final again because this is going to be their second final in a cup in 3 years or 4 years. They get to a cup final and they have a chance to win it. Pretend they win it. Why the hell would I leave a team that just won and go to Arsenal, a team that keeps competing and looks like they're about to regress if anything? And I'm not guaranteed that my next step is going to win me anything. His next step is going to be a payday anyways. Do I pick a payday and winning, or do I pick a payday and not win anything? Because Arsenal, I'm sorry, they haven't proven that they can win anything.
I understand you, but it's like I said earlier, we could all paint, what if they lose the semi-final? What if they lose the final? What if they end up 10th? What if they end up in the Champions League?
Than what Arsenal achieved this season today, because they haven't even reached the final.
Okay, so that is a fair point. However, I think that there are so many permutations. I think what he has to be, if I was advising Isak, I would be saying to him, don't base it on what happens this season potentially at both clubs. You've got to look at where you think that club's going, because there are a lot of Arsenal fans, and I think there's a lot of rivals of Arsenal's. I think if they had Alexander Isak in their squad all season, I think Arsenal are top of the league right now. If Isak was playing for Arsenal yesterday, and somebody would Newcastle have won the game? No. So therefore, so the point I'm making is you're talking. I get where you're coming from, but if you literally switch Havertz Havertz to Newcastle and Isak to Arsenal, go the other way around, there is a genuine possibility that Arsenal could be top of the league and they'd be on their way to the final.
Point, Terry.
Why is that a horrible point?
If I give Salah to City, they're top of the league. Done.
Yeah, but we're talking about Isak going to Arsenal. It's literally the point of the topic. What do you mean?
But I get what you're saying, but he wasn't a player for Arsenal, and that's not how it's measured.
No.
I'm agreeing with your point.
Wait. I'm going to stop you.
Let me say this.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. Of course, it's a point. We're talking about what's best for Isak's career: staying at Newcastle or going to Arsenal. I'm making the point that I believe if Isak was at Arsenal this season, I think there's a great chance to be top of the league. You must agree with that, Husam, because you still think Arsenal are the favourites to win the damn league. Imagine them with one of the best strikers in the world, and they would have beaten Newcastle last night. Surely.
Yes.
Let me just say this. Right now, there are only 2 clubs more attractive than Arsenal in England, in my opinion, as things stand: City and Liverpool. That's the only 2 clubs that I think.
Can I ask you a question though, based on your own logic, Husam? How are Newcastle more attractive than the team that you say are favourites to win the Premier League?
But you see, Terry, this is the problem. You didn't let me finish. I'm agreeing with what you're saying, which is Isak should go to Arsenal, but I'm disagreeing with your logic of why he should go to Arsenal. I'm saying this is not a matter of if Isak was at Arsenal, they'd be top of the league. That's not what I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at it. Look, we can't deny what Arsenal Football Club are. We can't act like Arsenal aren't capable of pulling players and signing players. Just like I can't act like Manchester United aren't capable of signing and pulling players. Just like I can do the same thing with Chelsea. Football players around the world want to go play for these big clubs. Isak, with all due respect, did not grow up in Sweden dreaming of playing for Newcastle. Sorry, Newcastle fans, but it's reality. He didn't grow up dreaming of playing for Newcastle.
He's muted again.
And
Oh my God.
Your mic. See, listen, I understand where you're coming from. If you're challenging the logic, you're challenging the logic. That's absolutely fair. There's some comments here I want to go to, though. And this is so funny, right? It says, if they had Isak, lol, hypotheticals, but we're talking about a hypothetical scenario. Which club should he pick? Which one's the best for his career? They're still hypothetical because we're giving, it's not based on fact. None of us know what the best decision for Isak is going to be now. We've all got an opinion. I'm pointing out, if you actually listened, Ashley, instead of allowing your Arsenal fear and hate to shine through, is that if you base it on short-term results and you apply that logic, there is an option to say that if Isak was at Arsenal this year, he'd be on his way towards winning a Premier League title. Now, if you don't think Arsenal, like Staffy, and it's fair for Staffy, because Staffy doesn't think improving Arsenal's front line makes them better, so he doesn't think that. But we're covering all bases. Well, you did say that.
I don't think, because you mentioned a couple hypothetical signings.
Yeah.
But you said under Arteta. I have an issue with Arteta improving his front line.
Okay.
Under attacking manager, of course, maybe someone else can do a better job.
Yeah.
Okay, with the current manager, I
so are we also again? This is another layer to the conversation.
I'd be crazy if I said Isak goes into this front line.
Yeah. Okay. But are we? Okay. So are we now talking about Isak going to Arsenal with Arsenal keeping Arteta, or Isak going to Arsenal if they get a new manager? Because based on all
that's a different question.
This is why I think it's so hard to give a definitive answer, because you guys think Arsenal are going to be better with a new manager. So therefore, if they sack Arteta and sign Alonso, that would then make them maybe a more exciting project for Isak. I know that's going to trigger the people that don't like hypotheticals, but it's also hypothetical that in 3 years, 4 years time, Newcastle are going to be winning the Premier League. It's a theory. It might happen.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why it's a two-sided argument. Hypothetically, if Arsenal had Jurgen Klopp as their manager, they'd be top of the league right now.
But he's not linked to them. The question was, would he improve them or not? Then it becomes a conversation, doesn't it? Then it becomes a conversation.
I get what you're saying.
We can't link a player to Arsenal and then not talk about what the team would be like with him in it. That'd be well weird.
The whole point, guys, is that Isak is Arsenal's top priority in the summer. That is why there's a question.
I don't know why I'm getting, not from you boys, I don't know why I'm getting so much shit in the comments for talking about the hypothetical that Mo brought up. It's weird. I didn't bring it up. Terry, there are other clubs linked to Isak, not just Arsenal. But that wasn't the question, Maradon. You're letting your emotions and your hate for Arsenal come through. Mo pinpointed a question about him being their top priority, and then Staffy pointed a question of which of the two clubs should he pick between. We also said that if other big clubs are in, like Real Madrid, that is where he would and probably should pick. So we actually addressed that. You just weren't listening, Maradon. No point talking about Arteta. The club are always 2 years late. They aren't even considering it. This is what Neil Black
Neil, I don't agree with this. Yesterday is a big dent in the relation between Arteta and the fans. When at 75 minutes, the fans are leaving the team and Timba is talking about that. That is the first dent. That never happened. That's the first dent between the club, the fans, and Arteta. Just people need to understand this. When people on AFTV are saying Arteta out, when people that were back in Arteta now are starting saying Arteta out, when match-going fans are saying Arteta out, I think that will change the club's decision, because the club cannot keep the manager against all the wills of the people that go to the stadium. People,
I hear that.
Wouldn't happen.
If my nan had wheels, she would be a bike. But come on now, I want to respect the super chat.
Big up Gino De Campo.
Absolutely, but we are talking about transfers and where's best for players. And when you talk transfers, hypotheticals come into it and opinions come into it. Do you think Chiesa is going to be a good signing for Liverpool? Will Ahmad go to another level? You can even do it with new deal signings. Will Ahmad go to another level now he's got a new contract? It's a conversation. If we remove the hypotheticals from football conversations, in fact, everyone that's Arteta out, okay, you're doing hypotheticals. We will be better with a new manager and this manager out. That's a hypothetical. If that's a button, a maybe. No one knows. And if we remove that conversation...
Can you answer your own question, Terry?
Hang on, please. Hang on. Sorry, let me finish. If you remove that conversation from football, it's boring. Hypotheticals are a massive part of what we talk about. Come on now.
I agree. That's why hypothetically, if Gerrard played for a better team, this Scholes thing won't be a conversation. When it comes to the Isak thing...
One day you'll stop talking about Scholes.
Hypothetically, you're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Isak. Can you answer your own question, Terry? Honestly, I want to hear actually your honest
What
answer.
question?
What do you think is the best club in England for Isak right now?
The best club in England for him.
Yes, absolutely. Top, like, best first choice club for him right now.
The biased part of my brain says Man United, but I'll put that aside. Liverpool. Liverpool need
he's
him.
cooking Liverpool.
I do
Liverpool
agree.
need him. Liverpool need him. So
Mohamed
because
Salah.
yeah, well, listen, because Salah ain't gonna last forever. Even if he gets a new deal, go and get Isak. I mean, that's what you're. Yeah, it'd be amazing for you guys. Obviously, City have got Haaland. I'd love him at Man United, but I don't think we've got the facilities for that yet. So Spurs, never gonna happen. I mean, Chelsea as well. I mean, Chelsea. I mean, he would kill it at Chelsea as well. He'd cook there. So you grouped all Arteta outers into one single extreme category and said they are all wrong, Terry. No, that's not what I did. That's not what I did. If you want to interpret it as that, absolutely. But I'm talking about it from the perspective of we've all got everyone that's in the outside. They'll all have different opinions within that group, and the inners have all got different opinions within that. I'm talking about the extreme people here, but they've all got different opinions from each other, even within their own group. The point I'm making that I think stands true is that every single one of them has got some things right and some things wrong. That's why that conversation is old, tired, and dead. I didn't say that every Arteta outer has the same individual nuanced opinions about every single element of Arsenal and the inners. I'm talking about them as a collective, that they've all got some things right and all got some things wrong. That is what I said, my friend. But thanks for the super chat. Should have just come into Arsenal to bring back the culture, just like Solskjaer did. Well, Solskjaer, well, he did and he didn't. We ruined it after that. But if he hadn't signed Ronaldo, he would have had the same journey, in my opinion. It's a fair point.
Arteta's a better coach than
yeah. People just want Arteta to foul so they can be right. For me, if it's want Arteta to do going forward as take them as far as he can, we'll see. But I think that Staffy's been very, I know you're talking about people outside this show. I think Staffy's been very fair. So has Mo. It doesn't undo the fact that it was a very, they've rebuilt the club to a point where it could compete. Some people will take that away from him and some won't. But where you're right, Ray, is that makes some gooners in that debate, they're focusing on the wrong things. They want to win the argument as opposed to what's best for the club right now. And I spoke to a gooner that said this to me, and he's not really on YouTube, he's more Twitter. And he just said, I think we might need a new manager, but I don't want to say it because there's certain people on Twitter that will gloat. I'm like, bruv, how are you as a grown man worried about what someone's going to gloat about online? Like, got to let that shit go. But each to their own. Forget Liverpool spending money in the market. They need to buy Husam a new mic, mate. Also, what do you think of
Gittins?
Oh, Bodo Gittins.
That's the Dortmund winger.
Yes, I know who he is. Couldn't.
Neither of them take Chelsea to the next level. Chelsea now need their Alisson Van Dijk window. You're close to challenging. You need to go get 2 world-class players. It's better than all this. Get 2 kids again. Guehi, I get it.
United need Gittins more than Chelsea.
Yeah, but Guehi is not a difference maker like that. Like, he's a good defender, but he's not unbelievable or anything.
There's a comment here that says, this is from David Ornstein. He says, I don't expect Arsenal to be one of the most active participants in the January window. That must hurt Arsenal fans, though, to read that. And to
he actually said that, Ornstein, actually.
Yeah.
I just checked it. I actually checked it.
It hurts more when it comes from Ornstein, Mo, because when he speaks, he usually has a lot of credibility behind it.
Yeah. Big up, boys from Texas. It's from the Fouled Wizard. Big up yourself, my friend. Big up Husam. Ha ha ha. All love and bants. Judge Mo is what God's will says here. Chelsea boys, Tammy and Pulisic backed into silly. Yeah, they did. You were 2-0 up, weren't you?
Yeah, we bottled it.
Bottle jobs. You're the Italian Spurs. Guys, Inter Milan were top of the league, by the way, 3 years ago, and they lost the league to AC Milan, so you guys know. And the year Napoli won it, Inter should have won it as well.
When is the last time you won the league, Husam? When is the last time you won the league? How many league titles you have seen in your lifetime? How many league titles?
I've seen a lot of league titles.
No, you actually, no. He actually seen none because even his legend Mohamed Salah said. His legend said that we want to really.
You're sick. Why are you shouting?
I'm not shouting. Yes, you really interrupt me all the time. You haven't seen a league title. Even your legend Mohamed Salah, your best player ever, the Egyptian guy, my countryman, literally said that he would like to lift the Premier League with the fans. Go ahead. We won the
He
league
Really
last
hasn't
season,
seen it.
Osam.
He just celebrated with the fans.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. What do you
But
mean?
Osam hasn't seen it. Osam hasn't seen it.
Yeah,
I
and
hear
even
that.
if the fans were in the stands, was Husam gonna be there? He lives in Jordan. What does it matter?
He might. You never know.
Someone with
It's-
an IQ has
Di-
spoken. Big up, Steph.
Dial Square have a question here. It says question should not be Arteta in or out. We should be asking if we trust the Cronkies to be competent enough to hire for one, to hire a sporting director, and two, to replace the manager. When they're talking about bringing Rosicky in, I've seen a lot of Gooners unhappy about that online, saying they don't want someone that's friends with the manager to come in and be this.
Bro, he hires. He has to approve the sporting director.
I don't think
Okay.
Rosicky is going to help with the Arsenal situation. I think they need to get Kolo Toure or David Seaman or Ashley.
This is late, but we should probably go for Mbeumo, sell Nunez, Chiesa, and must go for Zubamendi. Obviously, that's about Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I would like to introduce you to Fenway Sports Group, aka John W. Henry, who has his fingers so far up his own ass he could taste his lunch. So we're not gonna pay no money, bro. Big up though.
You mean fill his own lunch? He wouldn't be able to taste it with his finger, would he?
How would you taste it? Now, see, I visualize.
This is why you shouldn't have visualized this. You should just let it go.
Well, don't
but-
say it then, because you don't
news-
taste with your finger. It means he licked his finger after. You're
Actually, you
disgusting,
taste
man.
with your finger. Here, I could taste my coffee with my finger.
Oh, you taste with your tongue, you fool.
No, you tasted it with your tongue off your finger.
What the fuck are you talking about?
This guy
You could taste
wallahi, you're a
something with your
waffler, bro.
fingers. The fuck's wrong with you guys?
Bro, you
Like
cannot.
when you're cooking something,
you
you can taste it
can't.
with your finger.
What are you
Well, okay, so
talking
everyone's gonna
Can I
about?
have
taste
weird
my drink
about
right now?
tasting something you're cooking with a finger.
Can I taste it right now? No, I
No,
don't.
but that's a liquid.
Now
if
I
you
did.
bring a solid, you can. Okay, so if you're making a sauce,
خلاص.
okay, you guys, okay, everyone's gonna act like this is abnormal. If you're cooking, Terry, don't be disingenuous. If you're cooking and you're making a sauce, you're telling me you can't just do this and taste it?
When your finger
Spam
touches
L's in
the
the chat,
sauce,
Husam.
when do you taste it? When it's on your finger or when it touches your tongue?
No, on your tongue, of course.
Exactly.
Just own it, bruv.
guys,
There's
big up.
you're gonna like this though, Staffy. Breaking news that Cristiano
know.
Ronaldo is pushing for El Nazar CEO to sign Casemiro, and they believe the deal may get done this month.
Alhamdulillah, God is great. That's the day I waited for. No, you generally don't understand how I'm gonna celebrate that day.
Bro, Staffy has an actual like personal agenda with Casemiro.
I've
bro.
never liked this guy. I'm telling you this.
Day
the
one,
day
he joined the
Casemiro
club. He
leaves
said
the
that's rubbish, bro.
Listen, the day Casemiro leaves the club, tune into my chat. It's right behind you. Staffy_TV. Come to my chat. The day you see the news, all you do is run to my channel. I promise you. I will go live instantly and I'll just celebrate. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll just celebrate. It's amazing news. There's no other club you can name me in Europe right now that has their highest earner sitting on the bench every week collecting 350k. Doing absolute nothing. Even his cameos are not good enough. Like, he's not even a striker. When he comes on, he just gives me a couple goals and I win games. He generally offers me value for money. He's probably the worst player in Europe right now for the amount of money he's getting paid. It is great news. And you know what? Shout out to Ronaldo. Man United legend, even after he left the club, he's still helping us. So if he gets that signing, I swear to God, I might just have to go back and buy a new jersey. I'm probably going to call him to go over Messi now if he does that.
I like that. Josh here says, if I'm Alexander, what do Arsenal offer me that Newcastle can't outside of their history? They could pull players. They could get European football, offer me big wages. Why would he want to leave?
Yeah,
That was a
people
point.
do
Very
this
good
all the
super chat,
time,
Joshua
Staffy.
Jack.
Why don't? But Staffy, you're a smart man. Why don't we learn from these scenarios that are reoccurring scenarios every bloody summer? How many times have people said this about your club, my club, Chelsea? I've said it myself about Chelsea, but I learned the lesson the hard way. The reality is these players want to play for these big clubs.
No,
bro.
but you had an agenda, Husam. I'm actually trying to be objective.
But I'm not even doing agenda. I'm saying, listen, if you're in Isak's place, you would much rather play for Arsenal than you would Newcastle. That's just the fact.
Husam, I get what you're saying, but wallah, like, I'm not even joking. If I'm in my prime right now, I'm Isak. How old is Isak? Like 24, 25? He's still very young. I know that my next move is going to be the biggest move of my career, okay? If Arsenal was the only option, I'm not even joking. I will see out one more year to wait for my options the year after. because I can name you a lot more clubs in better situations that if they come for me, I will go for them. If Chelsea in a year later are a league contender,
Okay,
I
but
would go
if
to
your
them.
choice
If
is
Real
either
Madrid,
Newcastle
Do you
or
have the
Arsenal
same
and no
energy
one
for
else-
Man United? I'm sorry. Do you have the same
of
energy
course
for
I
Man
do.
United?
I sat
Yeah.
here and I said United have been a
Yeah.
small club, and
Bro,
Terry got
Staffy
mad at
hates
me.
his own club. Stop
No,
it.
I listen.
No, I don't hate
understand.
my own club.
No,
I'm
I
just
get-
very honest.
Yeah,
I sat
get.
here one time.
Sorry.
Terry, remember when I said we've been a small club and you disagree? We had an argument about it.
No,
on the
I understand. Staffy would
I'm
have the
very
same
aware
energy
of
for
the
his own,
situation we're in.
club, his own club himself. I would say this: what I love about that question that Joshua just put up is that you can't answer it without hypotheticals, really, and that's what I love about those questions. Josh doesn't get annoyed
Let
at it.
it go.
No,
Terry.
I
Let
love it. No, I'm
He's
saying I
not
enjoy
gonna
this.
let
It's
it
one of
go.
my favorite things. I've noticed this on YouTube recently. Someone will super chat a question, or one of you guys will ask a question. You'll answer it. As soon as people don't like the answer, they say, well, you put hypotheticals in there. But what they do is they ask you, they put alternatives up. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And you're like, you're now giving me hypotheticals as well. I love it. It's beautiful. By the way, it says here that the SCD court have granted precautionary measures to allow Barcelona to play and register Almo and Victor. So Barca win again. We knew.
I
Always
told
was
you
going
the
to
guys
happen.
are going to pull two levers.
Liverpool considering signing Kimmich for free. Still
Yeah, that just came on.
Still laughing. Cass blamed Mainoo for his missed goal. Oh yeah, that was crazy. It's finished that goal, bro. That was a good pass from Mainoo. Boys, I want to thank you both, all three of you. Sorry for coming on and having your say today. All of our super chatters, everyone who's hit the like button, our members and our mods. Thank you, everyone that's tuned in. Love every single one of you deeply. We're back tonight with more content after Liverpool take on Spurs in the Carabao Cup. So I'm very excited about that one. 10:30 tomorrow morning, by the way.
Before you go, Ornstein Bamba, literally seconds ago. Manchester City working on deals to sign Omar Marmoush and the left back that I don't know how to say his name. No agreement yet. But
Yeah, of course I know.
That's happening. That's yeah. A few days ago, yeah, the Mamouche one looks like it's really going to push forward. I think the Telegraph pushed that out the other day. It's funny how like no one takes it seriously until Ornstein says it. That kind of annoys me a little bit, but I get it. I do understand
because
why.
he's credible.
Yeah,
I'm in the mud, by the way. I've for years now. I've had an Egyptian in Liverpool. Now I have an Egyptian going to Man City.
Actually, you've been in this position before because El Nani played for Arsenal as well, mate.
Listen, guys, I want to thank you all. Tomorrow morning as well, 10:30, we have Ben Jacobs on the Football Terrace for a Done Deal show live. So make sure you're tuning in then. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.